hit the countdown.
Yeah.
Live, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Friday's edition of Spurs Diehards TTID, Tottenham Till I Die. Tonight I have guest Mark Cook with us, mod Mark Cousins, and myself. We are expecting other guests as well. So we've got a fair bit to get through. So without further ado, I'll say good evening to our two guests. Mark Cook, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, Adrian. Thank you. Been a bit under the weather, but hopefully fighting fit for tonight, and we'll have a good chat.
Mark, how are you doing?
Yeah, all is good, mate. All is good. Enjoying the weather.
Right, we'll start off with the game against Team K. I mean, the lineup was Vicario, Perra inverted fullback, Royal and Davies at centre backs, Donnelly at left back, Sarr and Gray in midfield with Bergvall, and up front was Kuleveski, Son, and Johnson. What did you make of the lineup, Mark Cousins?
Well, it was to be expected. It was to be expected, I suppose, because you're always going to get like two or three sides. They're going to play half each at least. So it was as expected. To be honest, no surprises.
Mark Cook, what was your take on the lineup? Did you pick anything out in particular out of it, or?
I think he was pretty much as strong as to be expected. I expected Bergvall to start, to be honest with you. I thought he did quite well without being brilliant, if that makes sense. But yeah, it was pretty much what I thought it would be, Adrian.
So I noticed that Sarr has started, I think, in the last three games. I think he's actually started. Do you read anything into that with Ange?
It's a difficult one, Adrian. I don't know. See, I still don't know whether we might have another midfielder coming in or not. So whether he's just trying Sarr with Bergvall and the others in midfield, yeah, perhaps he's just trying to mix and match it a bit and see what his best outcome is out of it.
Did you see anything in what I thought was an experiment out of Sarr, Graham, Bergvall, Sheriff? What did you think?
Well, that was
easier.
It was a very young midfield. But this is the time of year to do it, isn't it? You don't want to be doing it like when the Premier League starts. I mean, if you're going to start like trying things, this is the time to do it, in my opinion. Because you certainly don't want to be doing it like 5 or 6 games into the season. So it was nice to see. Well, it's like I said, I didn't watch much of the first half.
Mark Cook, what did you make of the front three, Kulu, Son, and Johnson?
I I think that was about as good as it was going to get without Richarlison being there. I mean, Kulu was playing the sort of, I don't know if you call it centre forward or false nine. It worked to a degree, but whether it would work full time or not is a different issue. So yeah, it is what it is, and he's just is what it is, Adrian.
Sheriff, what do you make of the fact that, I mean, like, I think that Johnson started all the games, isn't he? He started all the games. He's obviously an Ange favourite, isn't he?
Yeah. See, I said this on the last show. I've always had high hopes for him because we paid a lot of money for him for a kid. I don't know how old is he now? What's he, 21, 22 now? I know he's still quite young.
Yeah.
But, like, I've always had high hopes for him. I mean, let's hope he gets better. He does annoy me because he won't take his man on.
Yeah.
But, I mean, is he our answer on the right? Time will tell. Time will tell because he's still young.
Yeah, it was a lot of money to pay for a player.
Yeah, he's still young.
He wasn't oven ready when he was bought in for that.
No. He's still young.
Maybe we could probably say the same about Graham Bergvall as well.
Yeah.
So that's just a fair comment. No one can really deny that or argue with that. Yeah, I mean,
at the moment he is, Aaron. At the moment he is.
Mark Cook, what have you made of Donnelly at left back?
It's been quite interesting, Adrian, to be honest with you, because as he inverts, because he's naturally an attacking midfielder anyway, he's just obviously got to learn that part of his game where he'll be sitting in the fullback position. But as far as going forward's concerned, why not? Why not have him as backup to Destiny in that position? I mean, there's going to be a lot of games next season, so I would imagine that certain players that are being tried out in certain positions will be mixed up in European games and so on.
Sheriff, your take on Donnelly at left back? We'll give a bit of info on him. We got him from Northern Ireland as a striker, an out-and-out striker. Wayne Burnett converted him to a number 10 because he's got great vision and a really good defence splitting ball on him, right? Forward pass. At left back, I noticed in 2 games he's got up, he's had shots on target, he's hit the post, he's had a header in a few games I've seen. What have you made of him?
Well, it's like I said, I don't watch a lot of these friendlies. I haven't got the access to them, but so he was a striker, then he was a 10, and now he's a left back. Is that right? Striker, 10, left back.
Yeah, your dog is injured, and David, I think, was just coming back to fitness as well. So I think
it's like I said. We keep on about this. Like he's still young. He's unproven. You don't know. He could be brilliant, but then again, he might not be because I was watching a show the other day, and they said, was it 1% of these kids make it? Like 1%. That's it. 1%. Make it like big time. I mean, you only got to look at the kids that we've had coming through that everyone's raving about, and then all of a sudden you don't hear of them no more. So they haven't made it.
I watched every under. I don't think I missed many, if any, under 21 games last year because I watched them all on Spurs play anyway. And this is the best crop of youngsters I've ever seen at the club. Much better. I mean, the season before last, they were near relegated, even though the under 18s and under 17s won both their league cups, right? Because we brought players in, broke under Dean Rastrick when he was with the academy. He had a fixed pay structure there. Well, that wasn't attracting other players because other clubs are willing to pay the young players, bring them in and pay them, give them a few grand or whatever it is, whatever they get, I don't know, but obviously more than what they were getting before. So we seem to have got a crop that have come through and gelled together. I like the look at them. There's a few more we can talk about, actually. What have you made? We'll come on to the real star later. What have you made of Alfie Devine, Mark Cook? Have you seen much of him? Or
I haven't seen a lot of him this season, Adrian. How long? Sorry to ask this question. How long has he been with us now? It's been a long, long time, isn't it?
Yeah, he scored when he was 15 away to Marine in the FA Cup. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
15, I think. That's a few years. So he's he's not that old now.
He's probably 19 or something now.
Yeah,
19.
maybe, yeah. So he's not that old now. The kid, I mean, when I see this kid play at 15, I was in awe of him, to be honest with you. I mean, he is another one. Admittedly, Mikey Moore's more on the limelight now, but I thought Divine bossed the second half against QPR in that game. I thought he bossed it, and Spence ran him a close second. You know, I don't know if you see that game, Mark Cook. Did you see that? Or
no, I didn't see that one. Okay. Adrian, no.
Have you seen much of? Oh, go on, carry on.
No, I was just going to say, I was just wondering how long he'd been there, because he hasn't been given many chances, has he? It's come like in the last couple of years. He's come on as sub a couple of times, has he? And maybe started one. I can't remember. I can't exactly remember.
Well, what happened was him and Divine went out to loan to Plymouth, because when they're with the Young England team, the coaches with Young England at the team there moved on to Plymouth, so they didn't mind going there. But then the coaches since changed last season. Ashley Phillips looked good. The supporters loved him. But the new coach that come in, wasn't using Divine in the way that, the club, even Spurs said, well, he's not being used the way we expect him to be used, and he was being left on the bench and whatever. So, but that doesn't take away from his remarkable talent. He is another phenomenon. He could be another generational talent. Right, let's move on to the one there's two of them that are real stars at the moment. Will Lancashire, Sheriff, what have you made of him? 23 goals in 22 games for the under-21s, and,
Again, still young. Again, still young, unproven. Is he going to do it in the Premier League? Who knows? Who knows? Until he gets his chance, who knows? So it's all right. Pre-season is a lot different than 3 weeks' time when we got to play Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not 1,000,000% like it will be when the Premier League starts. So who knows? Who knows? I'd like to see them all given a chance. But the thing is, with these youngsters, you must take this chance.
Yeah.
Because all right, I've heard, I know you're talking about Lancashire, but Archie Gray, Bergvall, they were Wayne Rooney when he come in. All right, yes, Wayne Rooney did come in, but he grabbed his chance. He grabbed it by both horns and ran with it.
Would you loan him out, Mark, or would you keep him as a squad player this season?
Well, it depends if we buy a striker. The way we're going, I'd keep him. We won't have nobody else.
Well, you've got Villiers and you've got Dane Scarlett as well. I mean, Dane Scarlett, for those that have never watched him, when I've seen him before last season and all, because now I think he's 20, 21. He might be 20. 21. He really impressed me. But you see, and he always seems to score away for England when he's away with England. But it's sort of like, and he nearly scored at QPR after that cross from the right, where the goalkeeper made a worldie save and Ashley Phillips tapped it in the net. And he did score against Shakhtar Donetsk when Kane scored 4 goals in his last game. He won 5-1. It was a nice goal as well. It was a striker's goal. So he's definitely got something about him. He'll have a career, but it's a question when. But as Mark rightly said, there's only about, statistically, I think 3% of Premier League academy players make it as regular members of their squads, let alone...
I thought it was 1. I honestly thought it was 1%.
Yeah, well, unless it may have dropped, Mark, since I looked. I mean, some of the stats I've looked at, it's constantly changing. So, yeah. So that was that. I mean, now... let's talk about the guy who's really been making noise. Mikey Moore, Mark Cook. What have you seen of Mikey Moore?
Bits and pieces, Adrian, enough to tell me that we, for me, must keep him at the club. We've got to keep him. I don't like using this word generational, to be quite honest with you. And I don't think he quite is that. But if he can prove himself over the next couple of seasons with all these games, especially next season with these games we've got coming up, you know, at some stage when you have got a talent like that, I think as a manager, you've got to go, bang, let's give this kid his chance. Whether it's 45 minutes, half a game, or whether it's a full game. If you don't play them, how will you ever know?
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm not talking about playing them all at one time, but there'll be a time will come up that Werner's injured or there's no one to play on the left, and it's got to click to him. I'll give this kid a game. You know,
Sheriff, what's your take on what you've seen of Mikey Moore?
Exactly the same as Mark. Exactly the same. Because if you don't give them a chance, they're going to want to leave. And then there'll be another one. Who's the one that went abroad somewhere and we were on about buying him back not so long ago?
Madueke, who ended up at Chelsea. He went to
that's him.
That's him. He looks good, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I've seen him. He looks good.
Yeah.
But that is going to happen. I mean, look, we've just let Iago Santiago, who I liked, go off to like Spanish second division side. I think they're called Elche or something like that. So he's Spanish, so I get that. Second division, I don't get that. But well, I mean, he's still young, so like he was with us for 5 years, I think. So they must have had a good look at him. When I was looking at him, obviously I must have seen him in a different light. That's all I can say. But I'm not an expert on players. I just use the eye test. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the way I do it. I mean, I let great people like Ash Mack on his show Spurs Kings. I like him come up with all the stats and that because that's. I mean, I'll take notes during the game and things like that, but that's different. Right, on to the game. For those of you listening and you, my fellow guests here, I mean, the Korean keeper made a great double save earlier on, didn't he? I think it was from Porro and I can't remember. It might be. And then Porro shoots over the bar. This is all in the first half, you know. And then like the new guy we bought for a rumoured 4 mil, that Yang Min Hook, he shot over the bar, broke through. He showed some touches, but you can't tell much in a game like that. And then on a 28th minute, Kulu scored again from close in. Now on Kulu, I mean, I know he's Marmite Spurs fans. I am a big fan. I will admit it. To me, he's had goals and assists, and I think he's been our best player in pre-season by standout. Easily our best player. Playing in a sort of like Mark Cook hinted at, a sort of hybrid 8-10 role. And it looks like he's taken to that position. Will we see him in that position for many games during next season? I don't think so. I think he'll be used sparingly. What do you reckon, Mark Cook?
Yeah, I can't see him playing. Well, the only way I can see him playing, Adrian, is maybe he will play that position in Europe if they prefer not to go with playing a youngster up front like Lancashire. I can't see it happening too much, but then in the Premier League. But then at the same time, if we're not buying anyone and Richarlison's still injured, then we're struggling, aren't we? Straight away, it almost seems like it's Son up front, Werner on the left, Johnson on the right. And I don't know what you think. I don't know if Leicester will play. I don't know if they'll play low block on the first game on the Monday, but
I doubt
if they do, I doubt it. But any side that plays low block with Sonny up front, we're struggling.
Yeah.
We're just struggling. Full stop, we're struggling. You know, for me, Sonny's best position now, he's on the wing. Play him on the left wing and let's go and buy a striker because that's what we need. We need a striker. So, and a good striker as well. So we'll just have to see what happens over the next couple of 3 weeks.
Evening, Hez. How are you? You well?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, you?
Good. We're just talking about the game against Team K. And I just got to the stage where I was, I am a fan of Kulu, no secret of it. I think he's been our best player during this pre-season. Not their only pre-season games, so assists, goals, and assists that should have been if Werner had put one away. You know, I think he's been easily in his new hybrid 8-10 role, false 9 role, whatever you want to call it. Do you prefer to see Kulu there? Are you a fan or not?
Well, I think he's our most frustrating player, apart from probably Johnson. But it's more to do with the fact that Kulusevski is probably the best carrier of the ball we have, I think, in terms of just the ball sticking to him. But I just don't think he's effective playing off the wing. And if he's going to fit in this system, he has to be playing through the middle. Whether that's like a number 10 or a false 9, I don't know. I think the 8 position is quite interesting because I don't mean to compare him to Dembele, but if you think about his physicality and his like height and stuff, on paper you'd think he could kind of probably do that 8 position, but whether he has the pace for it, I don't know because I haven't seen him there enough. So, but if he's going to survive, he's going to have to find, I think, a different spot to where he's been accustomed playing on the wing.
He is. I mean, there's a bit of a myth about Kulusevski and pace because he's faster than all their midfielders. He's not slow because he's big. It probably looks, maybe it deceives people because of his size. He is not slow, and a lot of the time he's receiving the ball with his back to goal. When you see him flying down the wing is when he's actually put through, and it don't seem to happen too much in games. You know what I mean? But
he tends to check back though. That's the thing. He will get the ball and he'll check back.
Yeah, I mean, you do tend to do that when there's no way forward. If you've got 2 players in front of you, I mean, I'm defending him now because I do like the player, I must admit. So I'm making excuses for him. Fair enough, like, you know. Soren, welcome. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you.
We're just talking about the team came game. We're just going through part of the first half, and I was just praising Kulu for his goal, really. I mean, he took it and made it. All right, did clip off the goalkeeper's arm. He faffed at it, didn't he, you know? But at that time, I didn't think there'd be a goal scored from there. But he did well. He has a knack. He is a frustrating player because we all want to see more of his debut season form, don't we?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with Kulu is he's kind of inconsistent. He has a good game, a mediocre game, and then a game where he's not sort of there. And, you know, you looked at playing him through the middle last season, and the first game he was brilliant, and then 2 or 3 games he just did nothing. But you just want him to run down to the byline, don't you, and cross the ball rather than just constantly putting in, because the problem is now, you know, where we talk about people have worked out Ange's system, everybody's worked out Kulu's system. You know, he'll run, stop on the edge of the box, put in, and either pass or shoot. And you just want him to mix it up a little bit more. And like you say, he is so frustrating because he's a workhorse. I mean, he doesn't stop running. You know, he is the type of player, if you could kind of have 10 players like him and a goalie, obviously, with his passion and his you know, ability to keep going, then we probably would be, you know, we would be doing something. But yeah, he's I mean, I love I love him to bits. I think he's a great player. But he is frustrating, definitely.
And then we move on to the 34th minute. These are rough minutes if there's seconds added, by the way, because I just put the minutes down when I'm watching the game, right? And Bergvall hits the crossbar. He seems to pop up everywhere on the pitch, doesn't he?
Yeah. Sorry,
like a mole, isn't he? Like a mole in your garden. He pops up everywhere.
I haven't seen the game, so I can't really comment on it.
All right.
Because I was stuck at work because at noon, wasn't it? So I didn't see any of it.
Oh, right.
I've seen some of the highlights, but I haven't actually seen any of it.
So you'll be able to watch tomorrow's game. Mark C, did you watch? Did you see Bergvall hit the crossbar? Or was you busy doing other things? Mark,
that's for me, Adrian. Oh yeah, I was definitely busy doing other things, Adrian. Unfortunately,
okay. Right.
Yeah. Sorry about that, mate. I can't comment on that either.
All right, Sheriff, did you see?
No. It's like I told you backstage. Eltel Cockrell, big up Jose, put a link in his chat because he was live. He did a live watch along, and I pressed the link, and I was in a back room with some description, and they were showing the game. Like, it must have been Colin's stream, but the stream was buffering. It was terrible. And so I went in about halfway through the first half, and I reckon I saw about 10 seconds. But in the second half, they sorted it out, and I watched the whole second half. So I didn't actually see any of that.
Did you see Son's curler on the highlights?
Yeah, were we 2-0 up at half time?
3, I think.
Oh, 3-0.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw the goals. Yeah, but I can't remember because I can't remember what happened yesterday, let alone 3 days ago.
Well, he scored a curler, and in the 46th minute, there was a great assist with Kulusevski, wasn't he? And then as he runs on, Son, he puts the ball between the Team K players,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And buries it. I mean, well taken goal. He ain't lost anything.
Yeah.
Spurs fans say he's not lost anything, in my opinion. Soren, did you see that goal?
I just want to say to the other three, I think you should be ashamed of yourselves coming on here and not seeing the game. No, I didn't watch it, Adrian. I was at work.
Okay, fine.
Sorry,
right,
4 of us.
That's all right. No, I understand it. Midweek, midday, I get it, right? That's allowed. It's allowed, right? Then, we reach half time, 3-0 up, and we come out. Emerson hits the bar shortly afterwards, and then Team K scored 2 quick-fire goals, 3-1 and 3-2. And what I noticed was, because I was looking at this defensively, is that both times they broke on the right wing and came down the right wing and balls came across the box. So that is something I'll be looking at in tomorrow's game as well, to see if that is a weakness it's showing, And then,
Adrian, do you think then, because you've been banging on about getting a left back, do you think the club are going to buy one on the left hand side or not? Because obviously, from what I've been hearing in pre-season, bear in mind I haven't seen any of the games. Apparently, Spence is going to stay, from what I've been hearing in pre-season.
Yeah, well, I said at the beginning I wanted 4 players. I think I might be being a bit ambitious now, because I wanted a right winger, I wanted a right winger and a striker before Eze, as much as I'd like Eze, because I think their positions. The striker's the most important position we need to
100%,
and a right back as well. Not a right back, a right winger. I mean, a right winger. Then you could get an Eze. Then I'd go for a left back. Eze would give us, if you class him as a midfielder, number 10, a striker, that'd give us 8 midfielders. Because rumour is they want to offer Skip a contract. Question is, Skip's happy to spend most of the time on the bench or not. Then you've got to give him good wages to sit there. So, and I wanted a left back, maybe someone like Bradley Locco in France, who played in a under 21 tournament out there. He looked decent, but apparently we've looked at this Kyoto, but I think he's a right back. That depends on whether. From what I've seen of Spence, I want him to stay. I'm sure you all do, but we don't know what Ange wants, do we, Soren? What does Ange want? You're muted, I think.
Another question at the moment, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
It kind of, you listen to one quote that he says, or you listen to him, and he's, let's be patient. We're still after the first choices, and then all of a sudden, all these new names start coming out again. I just don't know what to believe anymore. The
problem is that after what game was it? He came out and said he wanted all the players in before preseason, or most of the big players before preseason.
Sure.
And then now he's coming back on himself and saying, "Oh, it's hard" or something, or whatever. So it's
but I think the thing is with that apart from the players that we've been linked to like today and yesterday, all the other players were at Euros. So if they were the first choice and they were the ones that he wanted, then you kind of knew it wasn't going to happen early. Now we're talking about Solanke and McTominay and people like that. You're kind of like, well, why hasn't it happened then? So, this is the thing. Until we see who actually signs, if we end up with Solanke and McTominay and people like that, then there's got to be questions asked as to why we didn't get him in earlier.
I think the problem, Soren, is taking away the players you mentioned, right? It's like we don't have a plan. That's what comes across as like.
This is it. Because, if you listen to Ange a week ago, we had a plan. And those players... we were still after those original players that we wanted. That was the plan. Now we're linked with players that, I know we've been linked with Solanke before, but you're kind of looking at it and think, well, if there was a plan and Solanke and McTominay... Sorry?
Let's say he was the first or second choice, for example. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, if he was, but then you also hear of, there's reports today saying Chiesa doesn't want to play, and because he wants to come and play for Tottenham, and he's not going to be selected for the first team. Well, Are we after Chiesa now? Because according to some in the knows, we weren't after him ever. And now he wants to come and play for Tottenham. Is this just more media links? Or, look, if we ended up with, say, Solanke and Chiesa, that's a brilliant signing. But are we really going to pay 68 million for Solanke? To me, that is just crazy. That is just,
No.
It is he is not worth 68 million.
Well, I think with these stories, this is where fans need to put their, factual heads on. If you're going to pay, even dream of paying 65 million for Solanke, you go for Vlahovic, you go for Gyökeres, you go for Openda. And if it means paying another 5 million,
maybe we have looked at those and they don't want to come. That's the only argument to them. But to me, if we're going to pay 65 million for Solanke, then you go for Chiesa at 25 million. If he'll come, and then go for somebody else. I mean, I think there's links today or yesterday for somebody coming in for Veliz. Well, if somebody's coming in for Veliz and somebody is coming in for Richie, for argument's sake, we need more than one striker.
Yeah.
If it's Veliz, it'll be a loan, though, Fiorentina or someone like that.
I'd sooner Jonathan Davids, like that Davids.
Yeah,
well, he would be less of the financial risk because you'll get him for 20-25 mil, the same as Chiesa. I mean,
get both of them.
The Tony thing is strange, isn't it? All the, we get all these rumours about baggage about him. Otherwise, he's Premier League proven. You'd think you'd all dive. Why hasn't everyone dived in for?
Nobody else has gone for him, have they? Nobody is going for him.
Maybe because he's not really proven to be like a top striker. And the reason I say this is I don't think Solanke is proven either. No. It's because they've only really had one 20-goal season striker each, right? So you'll take whichever one you buy is a risk. It's not like you're buying, I don't know, someone like Haaland. I'm not going to get Haaland, but you know what I mean. As in someone who's got at least 2 or 3 20-goal seasons or something like that.
Mark Cook, do you think that part of the reason, the Tony reason, it might be that we know he knows how to find the back of the net, is that he doesn't press and he doesn't suit Ange's system? Is this critical? Because I'm not sure with Ange on a few things on these transfers because I don't really know who he wants anymore, right? What do you think, Mark Cook? Do you think it's because Tony doesn't press, or there are other issues involved as well as that?
I've been reading stuff about they've bought a player that's got injured that was his replacement. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen that a few different times. So whether Brentford are thinking, hang on a minute, I don't want to let him go because the fella's injured himself, I don't know. I would have him at Spurs, definitely. I think there's for the money that we're willing to spend. So what's he going to be? 40 million, 45 million, something like that. If it's just all about wage demands, isn't it, and stuff like that. It helps us in the forward line. We need more than that. We need more than that. But if we're going to buy someone half decent, I would say at least is where we need to be for now to get a few goals.
Sheriff, I mean, in my opinion, I don't know if you agree. We definitely need. You can get away with it in other areas of the pitch, but we need experience in the forward line, don't we?
Oh, of course we do. It's like I said, that when me and you had this conversation on the phone earlier, we have gone from when I was growing up, Archibald and Crooks. Then you move it on, quite a few years. You had the likes of Klinsmann, Sheringham, Defoe, Robbie Keane, Berbatov. The Spurs striker, the number 10 at Spurs, has always been a prime position. And now we built a £1 billion stadium for the likes of Solanke or Jonathan Davids. It's an absolute joke. We are in a perfect position to basically buy who we want.
So
will we?
Go on, Karen, Mark. Sorry.
Will we? Will we? No. We'll, to be honest, if we buy Solanke, it's a panic signing. It's absolute panic stations, because even the boss man must know we need a striker. I mean, surely he's not wrapped up in the hotel that badly. Apparently,
Gyökeres is up for sale.
Well, buy him.
We'll sell him. Hang on. just want to put a little bit of background in there for you. He had that one season at Coventry where he was pants, and he's gone out there and he's had a breakout season. Now, I don't know what the quality of the Portuguese league is, so I don't know. It seems, I mean, there's always an element of risk with transfers, but with some transfers, there's more of a risk. And you have to do the risk assessment and you have to do the due diligence. If you're going to get Chiesa, to me, who's had 2 cruciate ligament injuries, or Neto, who's had injuries, right? You want add-ons in there on how many games the player plays before you give them extra money. I mean, if you buy a car that's broken down a few times, you get a warranty with it, don't you? We need a warranty with these players, don't we? We need a warranty. You do. Because, why should you be sold a bum steer? Why should we ever have ended up with Ndombele, for example, right? And been sold someone like that without no sort of a, try to buy and I love the try to buy transfers. I love them because if the player's no good or don't give it 100%, then you don't buy them and they go. You just cost you on the wages. Soren, what's your take on the striker situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a tough one. I would take Solanke, but I wouldn't take him at 68 million. If it was 30 million, then I think it's not a bad deal. He's coming into his prime. Yes, he's only had one good season, but it was last season. So hopefully he carries on from there. You look at Ivan Toney. Yes, Tony's had a good season, but it wasn't last season. He had a poor latter half. I know he didn't play the first half, but he had a poor latter half. So you kind of don't know whether he'll kick on and we'll get the old Tony or the new Tony. Solanke, if he kicks on from where he was last year and scores 19 or more, you're not far out. But to me, I want somebody who you kind of look at and you think, that's going to be exciting. A Chiesa.
Yeah. Where's the wow signings? Where is the wow signing?
I'm not one of these that sit here and think we've got to have wow signings. I think we've got to have solid signings that are better than what we've got. It doesn't necessarily have to be the wow signings, because if you get, to me, and I know you kind of disagree with me a little bit, but your Archie Grays, your Bergvall, they're wow signings because I think their wow is in these kids could kick on to be fantastic. That's the sort of wow, we've actually finally managed to get some youngsters who could be the next it.
Could is the
but it's like I've said to you, from the get-go that I don't have any doubts that Archie Gray will make it. Bergvall's been far better than what I was expecting. So, to me, I think both of them will probably be in the first team this season and pretty early on as well. But that doesn't necessarily mean because they are that much better than what we've got. It just means we haven't signed anybody that is good enough to go in the first team. But striking, look, there's got to be some strikers out there that are less than 65 million that are better than Solanke. There's got to be. And
I'm going to just on a point against that. Sorry. I think there's other factors. And by the way, it's not coming from someone who thinks Solanke's the answer, by the way. I'm just talking transfers in general. So there's a few factors with the Solanke thing, the price. He's English. He's homegrown. He's Bournemouth's best player, arguably, on paper. A going rate for even a semi-decent forward nowadays is around 60 million. If we're looking at Richarlison, 50 to 60 million. I'm not saying the top forward, by the way. I'm saying just the going rate. Because you need to give inflation in the sense that we bought Lamela for example, 30 million 10 years ago. He was considered a good forward at the time. So you get inflation for that. Solanke's almost the equivalent, I guess.
But then you look at it this way,
plus the English tax, plus the Bournemouth tax. You're getting 65 million. The Tony thing's different because he's got a year left. So I think they'll just leave it till deadline day or winter to get it done if they do it. And I'm not saying I agree with Tony or I want Tony. I'm just saying I think this is how it's going to go. But if you ask me what striker I want, I couldn't give you an answer because unless we're going to drop 150 million on Isak, I don't think there's really like which we're not going to do because we don't have the ambition and the balls to do it.
Oh no, it's not the ambition. I think no, it's not the ambition because no. Are Newcastle going to want to sell him for a start? He's not.
He's not going nowhere. He's under contract, isn't he? So
he's not going anywhere. I mean, it'd be like it's like City when they came in for Harry Kane. We didn't want to sell him, so he didn't go. If we go into Newcastle now, they do not need to sell Isaac. And and let's be honest, is he going to want to move from Newcastle to Tottenham? What's the pull to come to Tottenham from?
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Stadium and the training ground and all this other stuff. What was the point?
I know all that, but we're not doing any better than Newcastle, really, are we? You know,
but then I was asking the same question. Then what was the point of building the stadium and all this other stuff then? If
but it's not like. But when I say that though, I mean it's not like say going from a Nottingham Forest to a Tottenham. It's you're almost sidestepping. Yes, we've got better training facilities. Yes, we've got a better stadium.
We're in London as well, which is kind of a fact, I think.
I mean, the thing is, what's his wages demands going to be, and you've got to drop 150 million. I mean, if he goes for 150 million, we will not be the only. If he's for sale, we won't be the only ones going for him.
But then we don't. But sorry, my issue is not that. It's that we don't even try to do these kind of deals.
I mean, let's be honest.
Declan Rice to Arsenal, they actually had the audacity to do that deal, right? Whether you'd agree with the flight fee or not, yeah. And because for a player who I didn't think would ever move from West Ham, if I'm being honest, and then Arsenal managed to get him, and I paid 100-something million, but that was like a big deal. Like that when they signed him, I was like, they're serious. We don't do deals like that. Even these deals like Solanke. Even I don't know. I actually do want Chiesa, but even that deal like that because he's 25 million, he's pretty cheap. If he was like double that, I don't think we would even explore it. And I personally think there's truth in that because of the Paratici link. But we don't seem to want to do these like deals, which to me will signal intent that we're serious. I just don't think we're not doing any serious deals.
If we went and signed Isaac tomorrow for 150 million. But the proviso was he was the only one coming in and we wouldn't sign anyone in January neither. Would you be happy? Would that progress us to winning, probably not the title, but contending for the title and going for a cup?
He'll probably sort our goals for the next 5-6 years.
But the thing is, what happens if he gets injured? That's with no other players to come in.
But then do you really think, for example, I'll give you another scenario then. If you don't think he's the answer, say we kept Richarlison and Son and we bought Solanke. Do you think between them they'll score the same amount of goals as Isak?
Between them, yeah, I do actually. Between them.
I have my doubts about that, to be honest.
I mean, if you say they've only got to score 15 goals apiece, that's 30 goals.
How many? What was it? 6, 7 Premier League goals, or was it 9? Something like that. How many Premier League goals did Richarlison get last season? Was it like 6, 7 or something?
He was injured most of it.
Yeah,
it was double figures.
I don't think Premier League goals.
Mark Cook, how much do you think whether the player actually wants to come and we wait to turn his head with cash, or how much clubs, when we're in for their players, are waiting to get replacements in? We see that Palace got in the winger, didn't they, before Elise went? Now the other player's injured now. The rumour is Eze's not going nowhere. So, Mark Cook, how much do you think that plays into the deals? How much do you think we've been stymied? I'm going to give the recruitment team a bit of latitude here because I think they have had their lists of players for ages and something's not quite happening. If other clubs are looking for replacements to get in, or what do you think on all this? It's dragging on, isn't it? It's dragging on.
Yeah, it's dragging on and dragging on. For me, I think Eze was the first main target on the radar for the transfer window. Everyone was talking about him. Yeah, he's coming. We saw the cuddles in the game last season at the end of the game, and everyone was saying then, yeah, he's coming. But from the way I can work out, the structure of the deal is that Palace want most of their money up front. That's what I'm reading everywhere. I'm not a guru to it, so it's only what I'm reading. We don't pay 60 million quid for a player up front, do we? No. That is not how we work. We don't work like that. So if he's your first player and he's going to make all the difference to your team because he's your number one to come in, would any of the other top 6, top 5 be doing it the same way?
Certainly
No,
not.
they'd have their money out. Liverpool, if they wanted Eze now and he was 60 million, it'd be bang, 60 million, we'll deal with the rest later. Why can't we do that? We're a rich enough club to do that. We may not be able to do it all the time, but we seem to be a club, rather than getting 2 or 3 or 4 signings like we did last year with Van der Ven, the doggy and so on, Maddison even.
Yeah, I agree.
We're there, but we don't seem to build on that. And then all of a sudden it's a youth project again. I think half the time the fans don't even know what's going on. It'd be nice for the people at the top to come out and relay a message to us all to what's going on, so at least everyone's on the same page.
I agree with, and I believe we've got the money to do it for one player like an Eze and still get a couple more players in. Mark, Sheriff, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree with Mark. Because we never ever do it. We never ever do it. Look, when Poch was here, and we had the best team we had the best starting 11 in the league. We had no backups. If Poch had that 3 or 4 players on the bench that he could have rotated, brought in when he had injuries, we'd have won 2 league titles. We'd have won the league when Leicester won it, and we'd have won it the year after when Chelsea won it. I'm convinced of that. And ever since then, when we didn't sign anybody, we had the likes of, I can't even remember them, but our top targets, we could have had Bruno Fernandes and we got Gedson. Things like that.
Matt, we've had this conversation before. We didn't get Gedson, we got Lo Celso.
How Grealish?
Whatever. Whatever. But we ended up with the wrong Fernandes. We ended up with the wrong Fernandes. This is what is wrong with Tottenham. They will not push the boat out.
Grealish.
Yeah, Grealish as well. There's another one.
Richarlison, 28 games, starting and subs, 11 goals, 4 assists.
No, but I'm saying in the Premier League, how many goals did he get? Not in overall.
Yeah. That was Premier.
Because Adrian often talks about this. He wants, is it 90 Premier League goals altogether from the team? Is that what you say?
Yeah.
Or 100, sorry, I can't remember the number.
90. See, my take is where the Sheriff goes back to the Poch days, that is where everyone should be looking.
Yeah.
Back when we had the desk, we had Dele, Ericsson, Son, and Kane.
Who else did we have?
How many goals did 4 players got us? We're nowhere near that at the moment.
Yeah. Who else did we have apart from them?
I'm all for bringing in. I like Chiesa as a footballer. I like Neto as footballers. I think they're both fantastic footballers. I would take them tomorrow, because if there aren't any other wingers out there that can score more goals than them, well, then if they improve us anyway in style of football, take them anyway, right? Take them, right? When it comes to a number 9, I'm more of the ilk now of like, well, if we can't really get what we want, or if there isn't really one that's out there that really is going to suit us, then suffer the meltdown from the fan base and don't go for any of them, because we've done this before. We've brought in players like Rodon. We've brought in loads of players that were crap in the past as stopgaps, maybe to try and appease the fans in the hope that like one of them might be better than they really were, and they never were. They never were. We wasted all that money on Ndombele. Celso was finally signed under Mourinho after he was on loan. We know he's a good player, but he's made of glass, right? And we're nowhere near that 4 we had back in the Poch days. Nowhere near it.
Would anybody take Chiesa and Jonathan David over Solanke or over Tony? So you get 2 for the price of 1 instead.
That's not a bad point. I mean, you could even add to that. You could say,
I don't want David in any circumstance, really.
Right, fair enough. But you could.
Sorry.
I'm saying if we're going to sign another striker, I'd rather we kept Richarlison and bought another striker.
Yeah.
Rather than sign Jonathan David.
I don't think Richarlison's going anywhere.
Striker and keep Richarlison.
You could add to that, Soren, that what you just said there, which is a good point. I mean, like you could say like 68 mil for Eze. All right, he's going to improve us, but will the improvement in our style of play result into success in the way that we want, or would you use that 68 million and do what has sort of half suggested there, bringing an Etta or a Kazeza with a Jonathan David and a much needed left back for the same amount of money? But then you would get accused of doing what they've always done, not spend big money on a marquee signing. So you're not going to win either way you go, because we all like Eze, don't we? Surely. I mean,
I do, but I think the thing that kind of, to me, if we sign Eze, then where does he play? Because he's not going to play left wing, because do we all think he's going to replace Sonny instantly? Is he going to play in the middle? Well, that's a possibility, I suppose, over Maddison. But then for damn sure one or the other is not going to want to sit on the bench. Do you play Eze and Maddison together? Possibly. And then you've got the likes of, at the moment, Lo Celso, Papsar, Archie Gray, Benton Kerr. Is there another one? I think that's it, innit? And Skippy. So, again, half of them aren't even going to be in the squad then. So, I don't know. To me, I'd like to see that striker come in. And then, it's more of a possibility that we look at a left back. Because, I mean, again, let's not forget, if worst comes to the worst, then what's wrong with playing Kulu up front? Giving him that up front position.
I don't know how you guys see Eze if we were to get him. I see him more as a ball-carrying number 8 on the left. I don't see him as an out-and-out 10. I don't see him as a left winger. He doesn't even run like a winger.
Sorry, Adrian, is this Eze you're talking about?
Yeah. I see him more of as ball-carrying number 8, and he can go past people. So he could be very effective in that position to get past players like that. I don't see him that further forward as a 10, to be honest. I can see him causing havoc around the penalty area when he's there, but I don't see him as a Maddison 10, an Ericsson 10, a Bobby Firmino 10. I don't see him, and they're all different styles of 10s, really. But I just don't see him as a 10. I see him as like a ball carrying.
Who's the lad who just signed with CAA base today? And now everybody's linking in with Tottenham.
Who?
Yeah, so as his CAA base or an agency.
No, somebody's just signed with them today.
Yeah,
Kyogo at Celtic, isn't it?
That's the one. Yeah. He's
You never know. That CAA base. Angie's a member of it. Porro's a member of it. Another couple of Spurs players are a member of it. Eze's a member of it.
They're agents, aren't they?
They're
the agents.
They're their agency. And I like agencies more. I think they're all parasites, right? But I like agencies better than sole agents, because with a sole agent, you get mouthy gits like Dragason's fucking agent, right?
Yeah.
Who's just a pain in the butt, trying to engineer more money or a transfer every 5 minutes. And he's shut up for a little while, right? Probably saving his breath, for his next outburst, right? Yeah, so, okay. Let's we'll move on a bit more back to the game a bit. Yeah, half-time came, and then Emerson at the bar after half-time. Then they scored 2 quick-fire goals. Then Lancashire scored. Werner hit a nice low cross into the box, guys, and Lancashire put it away.
2 games then.
Put it away with aplomb, and it was a good cross. It's about, Werner is, when he looks good, he does look good, Werner. And
he's obviously the answer.
Oh, no, he's not.
Obviously.
Been telling you that for ages.
Well, yeah, I open my hands up.
Maybe the K-League. I don't know.
Yeah. No, the thing is with Werner is if you stop him trying to shoot and just tell him to run up and down that wing, he's not a bad player. It's when he comes in and he's got an open goal and then he just can't hit it, But look. I know I get stick for this, but he's not as bad a player as what not most, but a lot of people make out. He is kind of a sensible signing for Tottenham. He really is. He's maybe not next level before anybody slates me and tells me, but as a backup player, he's not a bad option to sign when you think it's basically costing us nothing other than his wages.
Yeah, but my
And he is
main
better than
gripe,
Brian Hill.
and I keep going on about it every time I get a chance to say it. When you're looking after all these classy players, even a Chiesa and an Neto and all that, fine. As long, to me, they have to score goals like we did back, with Son, Kane, Eriksen, and Ali. They have to score goals. I mean, if we don't score because we should be aiming for the Premier League, and we're not going to win the league next year, are we? But we've got every chance in a cup competition, especially the Europa League, as far as I'm concerned. So,
would you think we'll take it seriously though, Adrian, the Europa League? Because history suggests we won't.
Yeah, we will. That was that Conference League, wasn't it? We will take the Europa League seriously, and I think the reason, look, it's not like the League Cup. You can forget the FA Cup. That's not till the first week in January, right? We will take the League Cup seriously. He won't make that same mistake again. He didn't, right? So, and that was his fault. But with the League Cup, you don't know. We could get drawn away at Liverpool, City, Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, and go at first pop, couldn't you? Same could happen in the first week in January in the FA Cup. But at least with the Europa League, you've got 8 bites of the cherry. You're in the league format. I think the first 2 qualify to go through the knockout round. I think it's actually, people will say the League Cup is, I think the Europa, because you can build momentum, and then you've got the crowd and you get all that behind you. I was saying to Mark on the phone earlier today that, like, the difference is, I said, although I get accused of being delusional because I'm like usually glass 75% full most of the time, right? I don't mind being, people can label me what they want. That's not, don't bother me. But I mean, my most painful experience was when Spurs got relegated in 1976-77 and following them around in the second division on mud banks, freezing to death, huddled together like penguins in openings when it's pouring with rain or snowing even, right? Going to all those games. And then in 78, when Argentina win the World Cup, we get our dealers in Villa. And then we go and pay 800 grand for Crooks, 800 grand for Archibald and 600 grand for Crooks. That's what the money was like those days, right? And the following season, you start seeing things, right? And you're thinking, yeah, there's something happening here. And then when we got to the 80-81 season, when we win the 100th FA Cup, and everybody said it's a year in a one Spurs.
Is that our dealers, Waddle, and is that?
No, our dealers, our dealers, Hoddle and Villa, mainly in midfield. Galvin, Archibald, and Crooks up front. Because
that's my dad's favourite side. That's why.
Right. Well, the thing is, right, when you go into a season like that, you get to a stage when you're on a winning run, right? With that team, then you didn't go into that season with hope that you went into that. The different was you went into the season with belief. You believed you were going to win it. So this season, we'll always go in with hope. You'll always go in with hope if you're an optimistic fan, because like I've said, I wouldn't leave my front door if I thought we were going to lose a game and I only live a mile up from the stadium. But that's the difference. And you get that. And at a certain time during a season, it isn't pre-season. It doesn't happen pre-season. It kicks in. That fever, that winning mentality amongst the fans, that belief, it kicks in. And I'll go into this season with hope. And although I'm an optimistic fan, I'm not going to go in the season with belief, although I do believe we can win a cup competition. It's well within our grasp, right? So that's my sort of take on that. Tomorrow, guys, we're playing Bayern Munich. So, Sheriff, do you expect Ange to play the team? This is a bit of a hard question, but to play a team or as strong as team as possible to start with? One, because it's Bayern, he won't want to get battered, and 2, because we've only got the other game against them a week later, and then the Premier League starts a week later. Although we play on the Mondays, don't we? Leicester away 2 days later than everybody else. Do you think Ange is going to go really hard, or do you still expect to see kids?
No. I said probably one of the first shows we did that the 2 Bayern games, you're going to see what resembles the starting lineup for the first game, Leicester away. He's got to now. No more messing about with different teams at halftime. We're going to see the players that he wants starting against Leicester. They're going to be playing. I won't be surprised if these 2 Bayern games that he only uses 5 subs.
Mm.
You know, because he wants the minutes in their legs, and he's going to be looking. Well, he's had enough time to look, all the friendlies we've had, but the training as well. He's going to have a real, well, you'd like to think he's got a real idea who he likes, who's not quite made the cut. And so these Bayern games, I think we're going to see what is going to be our starting line. Well, without the additions, not that we got any, but like, you know, I mean,
Is it more than name with them? They just spanked a side 14-1 or something, but then the last friendly they gave, I think they drew 2-2, which was more of a realistic showing. No?
well, yeah. I mean, Bayern are still in their pre-season as well, mind. Well, I don't think the Bundesliga started, has it? Well, obviously not, because they're in Korea.
Mm.
But like, and so you know,
our transfer windows aligned with theirs. That's
Yeah.
why 2 weeks
Yeah.
into the season.
but we've only got 2 games left now, and so I believe that Ange, he must have a fair idea who he wants to start that first game. You know, he's had chance to look at them all. You know, so I believe that these 2 Bayern games are going to see like what basically is going to be the starting 11, and I don't think there'll be any of this like swapping the team at halftime for another team. Like, I won't be surprised if he didn't use, like what I've just said, that he just uses 5 subs like he's limited to in the Premier League. And that right, there may be like a couple more, 6 or 7, but it certainly won't be 11 or 14, whatever he's brought on in the previous games.
Mark C, you haven't spoken for a bit. What's your take on Spurs versus Bayern? What do you think Ange will do?
It's a difficult one with another game the following week at our place, isn't it,
Yeah.
Adrian? The second game.
Yeah.
So in a second game, I think he'll go as close as what he can to his first team. But more than anything, I want to see players play in their positions.
Mm.
You know, so if Archie Gray's meant to be a midfield player, play him in midfield. We're playing a proper team now. So let's get to see how he gets on when he's playing against a Bayern 11, because it's a big step up from what they've been playing against so far. So, but I think Ange will just keep doing what he's doing. You know, I think a few youngsters will get a chance in the first game this week, maybe in the second half coming on. But I think it will go as pretty as strong as he can. But like I say, I want to see Gray in midfield. I don't want to see him playing centre half. I don't want to see players playing out of position. I want a team on the pitch that are playing in their positions and doing whatever he's told them to do.
On that, then, do you think that? I mean, Richarlison trained, right?
Yeah.
He had a calf injury. Did you think that Richarlison must play then, get some time in, or do you think he'd bring him
Second
on?
game? I think he'll come in the second game. I think they'll give him time, especially with it being pre-season. Give him time, and they'll know if he's ready to go in one game against Bayern or not, or if he's not. You know, I can't see him playing until the second game.
As your take on the Bayern game, what do you think will happen?
think
What would you like to happen as well? That's an interesting thing.
Okay.
What would you like to happen, yeah?
I think he'll give the majority of the first team an hour, and then the following week after that it'll be longer. But I do still think we'll see youngsters. So, yeah, because it's still 2 weeks. It's the game at home. I was on the podcast before, but that's when I think we'll see the team that he'll play. But as Mark alluded to, we haven't signed anyone new. So I just think we'll see the same team that played last season.
Soren, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm going to sort of just kind of go slightly more than what Mark thinks. I think there will be quite a few changes. I think the biggest problem, and this is kind of going back to the signings where, you know, we're saying we could have done a few signings in to bed them into the team. And you think, well, half our first team aren't even here. So, you know, it's all right getting new signings in, but we're not going to bed them in with the players that they will be playing with. So this is where I think pre-season now it's just a joke. You've got a pre-season, but yet our main players aren't here. You know, they're not with the team in pre-season. And And I'm not just talking about new signings. I'm talking about existing players as well. You know, like Dragson's only just come back. You know, you look at it. We've got no Romero, no Van der Ven. It just, I kind of look at pre-season now and think it really does need to be sorted out. You know, these competitions need to be sorted out, that they either start sooner or we finish the season sooner or start it later. Because what's the point in having a pre-season when, and I know it's not just our team, but, you know, when a lot of your teams haven't got the players to come in pre-season, this is, you know, this is the most critical time for your manager to, and I know they had last season before anybody tells me that, but, you know, we want these players all in place so we can see. But going back to the question, first half, I would expect a stronger side. Second half, the kids. Whether it's at halftime or after 60, 70 minutes. But I think there will be quite a few changes. The second game, I would expect Ange will play his strongest 11 that we have available.
I mean, I always think pre-seasons are pants when we've got a World Cup and a European Championship. And I've always been an advocate of having a month at the training ground before the season starts, and then throwing your domestic friendlies in amongst them, like the games against QPR and Hearts and all that. Play them then. You know, if they haven't started their season earlier than us, which is an issue, they'd start about a week earlier than us. You know. On the subject of strongest teams, do you think Emerson will start? Because it looks like the deal to Milan is close. So would you?
I'm going to say it's I thought it was going now.
Well, the rumor is 15 million euros and 3 million in add-ons, and it looks like it's done. You know.
Yeah.
And your take on Emerson in general?
Well, I mean, if it's that close now, I wouldn't expect him to play for us again.
No.
And if it does, I'd like to know why.
I'd like to know why.
I don't mean that. No, I don't mean that disrespectfully. But what's the point in him? You know, if we are that close, what is the point in playing him? It's you know, we need to be playing players. I mean, to me, this is where I would go. I wouldn't play Porro as right back. I would be playing Archie. If Archie Gray is going to be our backup, then he should be playing that right back position just to see whether he can do it. Because you know what's the point in going back to like we did last season, where first round for us of Carabao Cup, and then you make 9 wholesale changes in to see how they play. Well, this is when you should be doing it. You know, so and going on that, then if Emerson Royal is going, and we're expecting Archie Gray to play midfield, are we expecting a new right back in then?
Jed Spencer's there. He's done all right.
Do you think he'll stay?
We're dealing with this Kabore as well.
Jed Spencer will stay now.
This Kabore, apparently it's Man City. We've been linked with him as well.
Who has Coyote? Coyote?
No, Man City fullback Issa Kabore, a leading contender for Tottenham should they sell Emerson this summer. That was from Mike McGrath or something.
I think I remember him mentioned months and months ago. Like, don't know so much about him at the moment. What's your take on Emerson's stay at Spurs, Pez?
I think he's going to go. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Do you think he should demand his 800 grand back, that he tried to improve his skills or something when he went away on that one?
Didn't he pay himself for it? Or whatnot?
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, contrary to popular belief, this is a Paratici signing that he got wrong. So, if you look back, we could have actually got Tommy Asu instead, but we didn't do it. So I'm happy when he goes, but I think Spence will just take his spot. At least at the beginning of the season. I don't know about the end of the window, but at least at the beginning.
Mark C, what's your take on Emerson Royal's Spurs career?
He's been here. He's done us a favour at times, Adrian, but he's not good enough. I don't think it's time to go. He's just. I don't know where was his best position because all I remember seeing him do a lot is giving it away a lot. I know. To me, it'd be our luck that he plays tomorrow and gets injured, and then the deal's off. You know what I mean? That's the sort of thing that'll happen to us.
Please don't do this to us.
Don't for me. Don't play him. Don't play him.
No.
Get the deal done. Wish him good luck and see you later. You know what I mean? But I think Spence will be our backup right back too.
Yeah.
Sheriff, your take on Emerson Roll's Spurs career?
Well, he's been all right. You know, right? He doesn't fit Ange's system, but he's done it. You know, I mean, can you remember that time when both of our centre backs were out and he was in the middle with Davis, with Ben Davis, wasn't it? And we had, and our goals conceded on average when them two were at the back was just as good as when Romero and Van Ven was there. So, you know, he's done a job for us, but he doesn't fit Ange's system. I mean, it looks like he's going to Italy, which is a slower pace. You know, it's not as physical. And I wish him well. But as for playing tomorrow, why? I mean, if I was him, I'd already be on a private jet to Munich or wherever he's going. You know, where's he off to? I said Munich. Italy. Well, I'd be on a private plane. Yeah, AC Milan, isn't it? Well, I'd be on a private jet to Milan. I mean, if Spurs play him tomorrow, can you imagine? And he gets injured.
And they've just had an injury to one of their defenders in a game, so they really need him even more now. So
well, there we go.
They're more likely to be done.
If I was him, and the club said, and say Ange said to him, "Oh, you got to come on against Bayern," I'd say no way. If you're selling me, I'm off.
I mean, look, let's not forget. I think when you've got a player like Emerson, I don't think there's many Tottenham fans would say he is good enough for us. You know,
no, he's not.
We know he's not. But you take his mentality, his attributes for that, and he's one of the best people in our club because, you know, you cannot fault the bloke. He has done whatever he has been asked to do. He's played whatever position he's been asked to play. He went out and spent that money trying to improve himself for our club, and all he's ever gotten is abuse from a big part of the fan base. And I feel sorry for him that he tries his hardest. If it's not good enough, it's not good enough. But you cannot say that when he comes on that pitch, he doesn't give his high, doesn't give his best. If it's not good enough, it's not good enough. You know, I mean, I've said it before. Can you imagine Ndombele with his footballing mentality? I mean, you know, you'd have one hell of a player then, but the problem is you've got two players, one's lazy and one's not good enough. One's got the right mentality, one hasn't. You know, it's a shame. And look, I hope he goes to Milan and he has he plays well and he's loved where he goes, because I think, you know, he's been a stopgap for us, which some games he's been terrible, some games he's done well, and he's saved us in some and he's cost us in others. So, you know, he's certainly the worst player that's played for Tottenham.
My take on Emerson, he studied the shit with Davies. For them to centre backs towards, we ended up 5th. So that someone might say that was miraculous. And I can't fault his effort. Not good enough though. Technically in the final third, his touch and that awful. Absolutely awful. So on that, Hayes, I'm going to come to you on Reguilon. The rumour is he said we've had offers for Reguilon, but he only wants to go to a club with European football. What's your take on Reguilon's career at Spurs?
Well, I'm probably in a very small minority. I kind of wanted to keep him last season because I still think there's a player in there. But obviously Ange didn't fancy him for whatever reason. I preferred him as an option to say someone like Davies at left back, because at least Reguilon has a bit more pace. I actually thought under Jose he was really good. But clearly he's on his way out. Whether he can get European football, I don't know. I don't know how his loan at Brentford went. But yeah, it's kind of a bit of a shame because I actually had very high hopes for him.
Mark C, your comments on Reguilon's career at Spurs?
Very in and out, Adrian. I think he's been here long enough now to, if he was going to fit to a system that we're playing now, that I've got no doubt that Andrew keep him, but he obviously doesn't fancy him. So for whatever reason, again, get his move and go. I suppose you'd class it as clearing out the deadwood, Adrian, wouldn't you? You're classed as the deadwood, but yeah, good luck to him. Good luck to him.
Sheriff, your comments on Reguilon?
See, I'm with House. I actually liked him, especially that year under Mourinho. I was pretty gutted when we got rid of him. But has he even played any preseason? Has he been involved at all?
Didn't they leave him and who was
They left him and Gil. I was going to come to him later.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. He was left at home, so obviously he's not part of the plans. So wish him well, and off you go.
Soren, what have you made of Reguilon's career?
The thing is, it's hard to say anything about his career for Tottenham because he hasn't really done much, has he? I mean, that first season, I and a few Tottenham friends all were sat down worried that Real Madrid were going to come and take him back because he had that clause. So that tells you he was playing quite well for us. And then all of a sudden, he got that sort of attitude of going out partying and things like that. And he just hasn't got any better for him. He's just gone downhill from there. Now, I think there's a player in there. Maybe I'm a bad judge, I don't know, but I think he's a decent player, and I think it would be nice to give him a chance because I think he'd suit Ange's system. I mean, he was kind of better going forward than he was defending, which is a bit like Porro. It's so you kind of look at it and think, why not? But then obviously there is something else that all these managers don't like. But then it looks like maybe Jed Spence is turning that corner. He wasn't liked by quite a few managers. Was it Farke or whatever for Leeds said he was lazy, didn't turn up.
Yeah, Daniel
training and things like that. Then he went out to wherever and they didn't want him. And now he's come back and it seems like he's almost impressing Ange. So you kind of look at it and think, with Reguilon, if he kind of felt that he was wanted by the club, then maybe his attitude would change. But if it's like we said with Jed Spence, when he came under Conte and Conte made it very clear he didn't want him. So it was like, well, why should I bother? If that's the same with Reguilon, and you kind of look at it and think, if he's sitting there thinking, why should I, then he's not going to bother, is he? But I think it's a shame. But again, a bit like Royale, I hope he gets his move. I hope we get a little bit of money for him and let him move on.
Yeah, my take on Reguilon, even though I've seen bits of him, like you said, he started well. I still wanted to see more of him. I wasn't convinced, but I wasn't throwing him under the bus either. So when you get a situation like this with players, you have to trust the coaching staff, what they see in the training ground, they think, no, and that's it. Because, I mean, we're not there. We're not privy to all that goes on or the player's demeanour, what he's like, whether he's a party animal or not. Mark, I'll come to you on Gil. Looks like he's going to Girona. And we'll talk about these players afterwards. We are actually, this is a bit of a bugbear of mine. We are actually going into a situation where, like, we've sold Roden, right? We've sold Højbjerg, right? We've sold Parrott, right? We've sold, it looks like Emerson's going. Looks like Gil's going, right? The money for those players, this is what got my back. This has got my back up. And I always try to remain calm, as you know, with the transfer window, because that lot will come over 40-odd million. As Mark said to me on the phone, and the money we've saved, it's more than paid for Archie Gray and the new Korean kid, Yang Min Hyuk. Right, it's more than paid for him, and we've saved on wages. So we should have. We're going to come back to transferring a little bit later. I want to talk about strikers again, more than that. But Mark, Sheriff, Brian Gill, your opinion of this player?
Well, he's another one. he's another one really where I don't think we did our due diligence. What do we give for him? 30 million plus Lamella. And I rated Lamella. Right, he won the best, but he was good for the shithousery. He was good for the shithousery side of it, and that Rabone where he scored against the Gooners.
We lost that game 2-1, didn't we?
Yeah, I know we lost the game, but just for that Rabone, he was worth keeping. But I mean, Gil, he's too lightweight. I mean, just get rid. Just get rid. I mean, if he wants to go to Girona, just take anything they get. Well, I wouldn't say take anything. Don't take €1. Obviously, I mean, every player's got some sort of value.
It's a loan. It's the deal to Girona is a loan, right?
It's a loan.
Wages, but he's had Spurs have been clever. They've got him to sign an extension to his contract to give him the loan because he's under contract anyway. So pressure applied for a year. So as at the end of the year, they have an option to buy him for €15 million, or any other club gets that option. I think he'll get snapped up the end of next season because I think he'll do well in Spain personally.
He doesn't suit the Premier League. He's too lightweight. You know, he's definitely not fit. You know, well, he's not physical enough. You know, I mean, to be honest, we haven't really seen him, have we?
Yeah, he floats like a butterfly and stings like one, doesn't he? I mean,
I mean, has he actually done 90 minutes for us? I can't ever remember. He's sort of 5 minutes.
He started away from Man City last season as well.
Or away in a Europa Conference League maybe game. I
don't know.
Against City, I think.
Mark, what's your take on Gil?
Pretty much the same as Mark's, really, Adrian. I just think he's too lightweight for the Premier League. He's probably 9 stone wet through, isn't he? There's not a lot of him, and it's a pretty physical league. So, yeah, he's another one. I just think it's time to let him go. I know he's going on loan to start off with, and as you say, I've got no doubt someone will snap him up at the end of the season. So,
yeah, and if he cut his hair, he'd be 4 stone, wouldn't he? Hez, what's your take on Gil?
I actually quite like him as a player. The problem is, I just don't think he suits the Premier League.
Yeah,
and that's all it is. I actually think he'll do well in Spain. He would do well in Italy if he went to Italy. I don't know about Germany. Maybe that might be a bit too far, but he's clearly technically gifted in some capacity. Like, I do think there's a player in there in that sense, but I just don't think he has the physicality for the league. So,
your take on man Gil?
I think, like everybody is saying, there's more meat on my left testicle than there is on him.
Yeah. And don't show us.
I didn't see you were drinking then.
Don't show us.
Look, when you see him play on the, for the minutes he has got some skill. But he's just not the right player for the Premiership. I think has just hit it on the head. Spain, Italy, probably France, any of those, sort of. I mean, even Portugal, I could see him doing well in Portugal. But yeah, Premiership, it's just too physical for him. And you could see that where I think he got a bit better, but that first season when he came, he was falling over with a gust of wind, wasn't he? He was all right he'd probably be all right playing at Tottenham, but if you went to one of these stands where there's a gap between the stands, he was knackered because he'd get blown over mid-run.
Stoke away on a Wednesday.
Yeah, look, I think, like Mark alluded to it, these players, I mean, it's annoying me the amount of our players that we want rid of. And again, we're putting them out on loan, or we're taking absolutely crap money for them because we can't sell them. Beginning of the transfer window, we were talking, so-and-so was going for this, so-and-so, and we were going to have another 120 million pound to spend. And then, what have we got? 30, 40 million for the bloody lot of them. And the wages off the bill, it's scandalous. And then, we just got to get rid of him. We just got to get rid of him. The only worry I've got, so we've got rid of Højbjerg. We've got, if we look at Hill going, we look at Emerson Royal going. Who else has gone? Sessegnon's gone. Who else has gone so far?
Well, we got rid of Dyer and Kane, but they
Dyer,
were all
well, yeah, if we say Dyer, Kane's already gone. But, we look at all these players that have gone out. It really is making our squad quite bare, and yeah, we've signed, obviously, Werner, but he's already here. So the only two we've really got in is Bergwall and Gray, because the Korean lad's not here yet, is he? So
no, it comes in January.
Christmas, isn't it? Is it Christmas time he comes in?
January 2025, I think.
And obviously if Reguilon goes as well. And I know these players aren't necessarily first-team players, but, they are players that are going out of the squad, and we're not kind of replacing them. So you go back to looking at how many players we will get to sign, and it kind of then starts to make you think, well, maybe there is more than one or two coming in, because surely we can't be this threadbare and think we are going to challenge.
Well, it was a bloated squad, and as you've all alluded to, we're not exactly going to miss the ones that have gone, even if it leaves us short, So, and then you've got an argument which we'll come to later about what kids you would.
Suppose we're still expecting
one more to go through.
There's still the Celso to go as well.
This is the player I'm coming to now. Okay, I'll start with you, Soren. Soren, he's been rumoured. Villa, because obviously Emery's there, played for him before. He's been rumoured to want to go back to Real Betis. He just seems to be someone who just wants to be in the comfort zone and is not very ambitious to me. Plus, he seems to be injury prone all the time. There's a player there though. He's a quality player. I mean, I liked the player before he even come to Spurs. I'd watched him. I thought he'd do a good job for us. I didn't know nothing about Ndombele, but it was the same when I saw Kulusevski. When someone pointed at me, when I looked at I like the look of Kulusevski, but I didn't know nothing about Bentancur at all, who I think is a terrific player. So Lo Celso then, his career and that at Spurs.
You just said when Lo Celso was signed. Well, we were talking about Lo Celso and Fernandes at one point, weren't we, in the same transfer window, and then we went for Lo Celso instead of Fernandes, and I was quite happy, when you saw what he'd done and how he played, and he was just what Tottenham wanted. And he came in that first season under Poch and thought he played quite well. I thought he showed some good points, and then he got injured. And it's just been the same. Plays a game or two, gets injured. Plays a game or two, gets injured. And then he's never really had a run since then. And I mean, what has he been with us? 4 or 5 years? And you kind of look at it and think, has he ever played more than 3 games in a row since Poch left? I can't remember him. So, and then you look at it, to me, if he got a run of games, I think he'd be good for us. But he's not going to get a run of games for us. So, and you saw it last season. How many times did Ange have the chance to play him and didn't? So that tells you he's not in Ange's thoughts, or he's not liked by Ange or something. So, to me, again, it's just another player. You say, right, let's get rid of him. And then if you've got rid of him and you've got rid of bloody hell, the head's gone now. The other midfielder, you've got Højbjerg. Then you've got to start really thinking we've got to sign another midfielder or another player for up front, because that's kind of 2 players that were in our squad, match day squad, that have definitely gone from that midfield.
Right. Anyone else want to have a comment on the Celso has?
Yeah, I actually think he did all right under Jose for like a period. I remember, but he was never really like a standout player. Like, he's good, but he's not really a standout player. The one thing though I would say is when he came in last season, I thought he did actually do really well, and he does have certain qualities which I would like he can play as an 8. So if you're playing like a really low block side, I'd put him easily as an 8 instead of Sarr, for example, against like a bottom 10 team with Maddison, because I think it would make it a bit easier to break down teams. But I think the Ramsey swap will probably happen because he's homegrown as well. I think Ramsey, isn't he? So
yeah, he is. Yeah.
He ticks way too many boxes, and I think Emery will probably turn Lo Celso into a player. and it probably suits them a lot more. And I just think it's a quite an easy deal to happen, actually.
He shows flashes, doesn't he, Mark? See, I mean, like when he when he scored away at Man City in the 3-3 draw, it was a nice goal, wasn't it? Mark, see?
Was that me? Sorry, Adrian.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Mark, please, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why I call the other Mark Sheriff now, so it's not to confuse.
Yeah, got you.
Okay.
He's just a frustrating player for Spurs, Adrian.
And like most players, he's a trophy winner. He's just won the Copa America.
Yeah,
win, don't they?
Yeah. Like Soren said, he's never really had a run of games. Injured all the time. You know, and for me, he's just another player. He's got to go. He's got to go, and we need to get some more quality in. It's as simple as that, really.
Sheriff, your comments on?
Well, I'm sure I commented on this before. I said for a long time, if Spurs put blue stripes on their home shirts, like Argentina's shirt, he'd be fit all the time. But he just never was. You know, he's done all right when he's come in. I mean, to be honest with you, last season, when Maddison was out of form, sorry, I wanted him brought in. You know, because Maddison was off form after his injury. But for some, Ange don't see him. You know, he don't. He hardly ever brought him on. It's like the odd 5 minutes here. Ange obviously don't fancy him, so get rid. I agree with Haz. I only see him going to Unai and Ramsey coming. Not will he improve us? Question.
Let's talk about, I know we spoke about it a little bit earlier, but let's talk about some of these academy kids, right? Because there's been a debate among Spurs fans. There's not a pathway for them. And if we play them while we're playing kids, we need experienced players. So you're never going to win the argument, right? But what I want to ask you guys is, out of a squad of 25, right, surely there's room for some of these kids, right? And I'm just going to ask you, I mean, there's 3 goalkeepers here on the list for the game that played. I'm going to pick the ones that were in the squad for the last friendly. You had Austin Whiteman and Gunter, right? And that's not including Josh Keeley went out on loan at Barnet, the Irish goalkeeper who looks good. That's 4 goalkeepers. But then you got George Abbott. Now, George Abbott, for those that don't know in the chat or anyone that don't know, he was captain of the under-18s and was soon promoted into the under-21s because he's doing so well. He wasn't alone because Tyrus Hall came through as well, although Tyrus Hall looks brilliant, but he looks lightweight. So, he's come through, and he's a defensive midfielder with low bags of stamina and energy who can play in the back 4. You got Tyrus Hall, obviously. Fans should have heard of Alfie Devine, going back to that Marine FA Cup game when he scored that goal as a 15-year-old, right? You got Mikey Moore, you know, and then you're looking at Lancashire, really, because even though Lancashire and Scarlett, and I'm not sure you would include Velez in that bunch. I mean, how many do you think we can afford to introduce Soren to a squad of 25? How many kids do you think we can afford to introduce?
I mean, for me, I would love Lancashire and Mikey Moore to be included because I really do think they are 2 players. I mean, Lancashire, you know, he's knocking them in, isn't he? So, you know, I mean, a lot of people are comparing him to a young Harry Kane, so it's not a bad comparison, is it? And there's 1 or 2 in there. I mean, I would certainly like to see a little bit more of Velez. You know, we bought him with high hopes, so you kind of look at it and think, yeah, he had that horrible injury last year, didn't he? So that's why he kind of went out on loan as well. But you know, you look at, I think it's Austin, innit, who's just signed a new 5-year deal. So you look at it and think, is he going to be the number 2 goalie now? It wouldn't surprise you, or certainly if not next year or this season, it certainly will be next season, it looks like.
He was the under-21 goalkeeper. I think he's 24, 25 now.
Yeah. So. And you've got to question why they've given him a 5-year deal if he's not in the plans. So to me, I think he'll be coming through. And yeah, it's to me, if there's going to be 2 breakouts, it's got to be Lancashire and Mikey Moore. No, I'm saying, that I think they're the 2 most likely. Divine, certainly not far behind them. I mean, isn't the talk of Lancashire going out?
Well, he's 19, you see. And like I said, he was brought in from Northern Ireland as a out-and-out striker. Wayne Burnett for the under-21s converted him to a number 10.
The other Irish lad we've just signed.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm talking about Donnelly. Sorry.
Who's the Irish lad we've signed? Is he a 16-year-old or something?
Yeah, he came from, and his dad played for Sheffield United or something like that. I can't remember his name offhand. Yeah.
I think you look at that. I mean, obviously, Parrott's gone now. I think there's talk of Scarlett going out on loan, isn't there?
Yeah, I think he's 20 now. He may be 21.
Obviously, if they're talking of letting him go out, then to me, I would stick by and say if anybody is going to come through, it's probably going to be Lancashire, Mikey Moore, or Divine.
It's interesting, isn't it, the fact that Ange picked Scarlett, Villiers and Lancashire for this game on the subs bench, because that's revealing anyway. I mean, I know it's 2 teams of subs and it's a bigger subs bench than usual, right? Probably twice the size. But it also shows it shows really in the squad that he took out to the Middle East, because if you leave Gill behind, with Reguilon, that tells a story in itself, doesn't it? So you have that. Mark Cook, who would you like to, I don't know how well you've seen any of these kids or what you've seen. I mean, who would you like to keep? I mean, you've got Austin Whiteman, Gunter, you've got Abbott, like I said, Hall, Divine, Moore, then you've got Scarlett, Villiers, Lancashire. They were in the squad for the other game the other day.
Yeah. Pretty much like Soren. Mikey Moore, I think's got to stay. I'd love to see him get a place in the squad, because I think he may well get some game time next year. Definitely. We've got so many games coming up. Donnelly, for me, I think he deserves a squad number. I think he could thrive. And like I said to you earlier, I know we've got Villiers. I think he hasn't had that much game time. Lancashire for me, Adrian. I think we should keep hold of Lancashire. Yeah, I do. Just those 3 so far for me. Yeah.
Sheriff, who would you keep? I know you always want to bring in oven-ready players, proven quality, but who would you keep out of these youngsters? I mean, safely say that Bergvall and Gray are going to be stamped in at the squad. So
no, the way things are going, we'll have to keep all of them. because like we ain't signed anybody. There's and it's like Soren just said, all the people we've sold is going to be threadbare again. It's going to be exactly the same as when we had Poch. We had a fantastic first 11, but the ones coming in to replace injuries and suspensions and all that is going to be, it's not going to be good enough. So, I mean, personally, you got to keep Lancashire. Sorry, I said Lancashire. That's wrong. Lancashire. You got to keep him. The 2, obviously, the 2 youngins that we've bought. Positive stream. All the negativity is on. It's Mr. Savas. That's Mr. Savas' channel. Yeah. Well, welcome. Welcome.
That's a
Go on, get over there.
Well, Danny, send me the link.
Savage just been ringing him up. Did you see him on the phone saying, "What the hell are you doing on with them lot? Get over here!"
What
are you doing, chilling out instead of being stressed out? You know what I mean?
I can be negative. I normally am. To be honest, I was going to say,
it's just not already mentally accepted certain things, so there's no point in getting worked up about it anymore.
Yeah. But in the the WhatsApp group earlier, I put on that. My expectations are 0 every season now. If something happens, it's a bonus. It's just 0.
See, this is what gets me. I mean, and I'm not knocking you with that thought because I understand where you come from. I mean, I still go into every season expecting top 4 finish. And I would say it's harder this season to look at it because you kind of think, well, we've got rid of a lot of the deadwood. And you look at it and you think we've also got rid of quite a few fringe players like Højbjerg. You know, he was a reliable person to bring on as a sub when we needed that player. Emerson Royal, again, another player that he was always there when we needed him. Maybe wasn't good enough, but he was always there. And you look at it and you think the worry now is we aren't replacing those players. Never mind anyone.
We haven't improved the first 11 though. That's the
but that's where I was about to go. That we're not
so.
replacing the ones that are fringe players as good, reliable subs. But we've also not replaced anybody to come in as a first team to push those at our first team to be those fringe players. And that is the worry this season, where it all kind of looked good, thinking, oh, we've got rid of all these players that we don't want anymore. But we're not replacing anybody. That is the worry.
But I just got one point to what you said. If your expectation is to get top 4, that's, my expectation is trophies. I don't expect any, but I'd like some. But top 4 is irrelevant.
Yeah, but when I say top 4, it's because the way I look at it, and I'm not dismissing wanting trophies. Of course, I want trophies, but when we all talk about, oh, we're a Big 6 team. No, we're not a Big 6 team. We're a big team. No, we're not a big team. If you finish 4th, doesn't matter whether you've cocked it up or you've been given it. That means you were the 4th best team over a period of however many games, and that I'm not going to say it's success, but in a sense, it is success. But yes, we still need the trophies. I'm not saying that. We're desperate for a trophy. But to me, all these people that say, oh, we can finish 10th and win a trophy. Well, no, that's not good enough for me. I want top 4 and a trophy.
Problem is, Soren, and I'll make 2 points. Number one, I think a lot of people have been brainwashed by the Sky Sports narrative of top 4, plus Arsene Wenger at Arsenal. Number 2, I'd be on your side, Soren, if the past showed me that finishing 4th was bringing us to a bigger goal, but it clearly hasn't.
Yeah.
We did it under
I agree with you there, but
so for me, finishing 4th, I'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, what they do.
Then has. So next season, if you had the choice of playing Europa Cup or Champions League, and it doesn't matter whether we're going to win or not, but you're playing those teams that we can't pronounce, or you're playing Milan and Juventus and Bayern and all that. Which teams would you rather play?
Well, I'll be honest. I'll be honest.
At this point,
I'll be honest. At the moment, I'd sooner us be in the Europa League, because if we were in the Champions League, we'd get smashed every week. Without shadow of a doubt.
I honestly don't think we would. Don't think we would, because
with the style of football we play, I think we would.
No, because I think the style of football we play,
Celtic wasn't great either.
No, but I'll tell you now, if we'd have played Ange's system against AC Milan season before, we'd have won that game instead of playing Conte's system where we sat back and hoped we didn't lose. If we'd have been attacking AC Milan, they wouldn't have stood a chance against.
Actually, I kind of disagree with that, because our defence was pretty awful then.
But the thing is, we didn't even try to score a goal, neither. I would much rather watch a game of Tottenham versus Milan, Tottenham versus Inter, Tottenham versus Juventus, Tottenham, Barcelona's, all these, than some little pokey team in Russia somewhere on a Wednesday night where it's -7 degrees, -10 degrees, and our players do not want to be there. And we play shit, and then we come back and we're all sat on this stream going, God, didn't we play shit? I'd much rather.
We'll still be saying that if we win the Champions League.
Yeah, we definitely be doing that.
I don't think we would.
In fact, it'll probably be worse. Will we say Inter put us 4 past us? Oh, this team put 7 past us.
Yeah.
Oh, then let's
probably lost 8-0.
Yeah.
Which was one of our best performances last year. I would say one of our best performances, as in watching the system that Ange wants us to play, was losing against Chelsea. Because,
What?
yeah, we didn't.
We lost 4-1.
play.
You're saying it's a good performance?
I would say that was one of our better performances because we did
Oh my
not
God.
stop playing against
I'm
Chelsea.
finished with this.
We
I
had
don't
9
know
men
what
on
to say.
the pitch, and every player that was on that pitch gave their all until the end.
But we lost 4-1.
Well, we didn't lose 4-1 until we went down to 9 men, did we?
But we
And we
still
were
lost
still-
4-1. It
we
doesn't
were
matter if we
still
had 10 men,
playing,
11 men,
but we
9
were
men,
still
8
playing.
men.
I'll tell you what.
2-1 after 90 minutes it was. 2-1 after 90
You
minutes.
go back to all the streams after that, and there wasn't
And we
many
nearly
people.
equalised.
There wasn't many people slating that team off that night. Most
we lost
people
4-1.
on the streams, doesn't matter has, most people after that game were
God.
saying how well and how great a game that was because we were playing. Well, all right then, you sit there doing that. How many people wanted us to lose against Man City so Arsenal didn't win the bloody cup?
That's different circumstances.
No, it isn't different
It is different
circumstances.
circumstances.
No, it isn't different
Yes, it is.
circumstances.
But who
No,
drove
it
us to that
isn't.
point, Soren? Ange himself.
You can still play
He
well
drove
and
us to
lose
that
the
point.
game.
He
You
drove
can
us to that
still-
point because he bottled all the games before that, doing his tactics against away to Liverpool, playing a high line again, away to this team, playing a high line again. Ange brought himself to that point. So he has in my opinion, he has no leg to stand on to have a go at the fans because I'm like, you put yourself into this situation, yeah, especially with that fan as well, having a go at him. If you didn't do your decisions before that wrong, you wouldn't have got yourself there.
All right,
So,
then,
in my opinion,
look
that's
at it another way then.
Ange's
All right,
fault.
If you're going to say that then, and you're saying that the fans had a right to have a go at him, then he had a right to have a go at the fans.
Yeah, but I'm saying he put himself in that position.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact of
no, he has no right to have a go at the fans.
I
They
was
have every
more
right to have a
proud
go
of
at
our
him.
team.
At that point,
I was more proud of our team playing against that Chelsea where we did not give up. We showed we wanted to still come in that game and score, and we could have still won it down to 9 men.
no chance. There was literally no chance.
We did actually come close to equalising at 2-2. We had a chance
I
to
still missed
equalise.
that chance, but that was like one chance out of what?
Yeah.
And now we're
Well,
playing.
that was 90 minutes. They only scored them 2 extra goals with Matey in well into extra time.
94 and 96 minutes, something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
We're playing
Anyway, Gaz, I want you to answer this question because the others have answered. You were missing a bit. So there's been all this brouhaha about Spurs fans saying no pathway for the youngsters. Another saying, well, if you play the youngsters, we need to play quality players, already proven players. So looking at the youngsters that played the other day, you had Donnelly at left back, didn't you? You had a choice of 3 goalkeepers in Austin Whiteman and Gunter. Then you had George Abbott, who is a defensive midfielder, if you don't know. He's very energetic. He was captain of the under-18s, promoted to the 21s. Then you had Tyrus Hall, looks brilliant on the ball. Looks like Musa Dembele Mark II, but he's too lightweight, needs to thin out. Alfie Devine, Mikey Moore. Then you've got Scarlett, Villas and Lancashire. How many youngsters, I've asked these the same, do you think we can afford to introduce to the first team squad? And what ones would you like? What ones would you,
at the max?
What would you choose?
So I think Mikey Moore's going to be there regardless of what I say. I haven't.
He can't go out and loan. He's under 18, so he can't be loaned anyway. So if he goes back to the under 21s, or he goes to the first team squad.
I think the second one would be Austin, and I'm more for him because I think I guess he fills a quota. I don't think we need to go buy another goalkeeper now. It's not like a necessity. So I'd rather just see someone like Austin get given a go. And as for the other person, I think the forwards, I think they probably need loans. Even someone like Lancashire probably needs a loan, but we haven't signed a striker yet, so you can't really loan them out. Same with Velez. So you're not counting Gray or Bergvall as like the young players?
No,
right?
they're going to be nailed in, you know. But I mean, what about? Do you think what? So
Donnelly's not. Yeah, Donnelly's probably the other one because at least he played a few minutes last season. I think he'll be in and around. He's
got a very high football IQ, Donnelly, very high. Yeah. Okay.
But the rest of them, I think, loans, if they can be loaned, or just more youth team football.
Yeah, I'm in sort of agreement with you. If I was being greedy, I'd want Donnelly, definitely Mikey Moore. I would actually pick Devine as well. And I really don't know about Scarlett, Villas and Lancashire. I just think that because I've watched Scarlett when he's played well, and Spurs fans haven't. They haven't seen what I've seen. Villiers, like Mark C, I'd like to see more of. So I don't know which one of those strikers. I think that I'll have to sit on a fence on that one and get splinters and let Anne sort that one out.
I actually think they should be loaned, like Lancashire probably to like a championship team, and maybe Villiers and Scarlett to like bottom 5 teams or 10 teams in the Premier League if we can get someone.
You know, I'm all for. Langshire's been given game time over Scarlett and Villiers, so maybe Ange sees that. And if he's been really tearing it up in training as well, it wouldn't surprise me if he was kept.
Wouldn't surprise
right.
me.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a question now, because as we're talking about, everyone asks me this question and I get really pissed off with it. Chris Cowlin has asked me this loads of times. I'll give you a choice of top 4 or trophy, what you're taking. I always refuse to answer the question, right? So it's a divisive question. I'm not answering it, right? And I won't, because I want both, obviously, right? But what I'm going to ask all of you in turn is, you can pick one of we're not going to win the league, right? Even I'm 75% glass full, I know that, right? But we're in 3 cup competitions. You can pick one that we can end up at the end of the season. And I'll come around all of you on this, right? Soren, what cup do you want to win? League Cup, FA Cup, or Europa League?
Let me go last, because I'll be the most controversial.
Okay, then. We'll go with Sheriff. What cup would you want to win out of those 3? League Cup, FA Cup?
Yeah. I've always had a soft spot for the FA Cup. Always. That was our trophy. That was our trophy till Levy turned up.
Yeah.
We were the record holders 8 times in 1991.
Yeah.
We were the record holders. And if someone had told me in 91 that was the last time we'd win it, at that time, I'd have never believed them. Because that was our trophy. I'd have said, look, at least we're going to win it in 2001, 2011, and 2021. But that hasn't happened. So it's a toss-up between the FA Cup and the Europa League. But FA Cup for me.
Like you, I've always had a soft spot for Arsenal. Quicksand. Mark Cook, coming to you. Which one? Which one?
It's FA Cup for me all day, Adrian. Yeah. I grew up on it. I was there for the QPR final and the replay. I was there for the City final and the replay. Watched that magical Villa goal live.
Fair play,
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
What about 91?
I wasn't there actually, 91. No, I wasn't there. But they were great memories for me growing up as a kid. It was fantastic. Yeah, so FA Cup for me. If I had to pick one of the 3, it'd be the FA Cup.
Has
Europa League for me.
Why?
I want to see us win the European Cup, so that's my logic for it.
Okay. Soren.
Fair shape, that is.
Yeah.
Soren?
I don't want to answer. Do you know this is for me.
Top four isn't a cup, mind.
No, it's not.
No, it's not a cup. But I also, if I'm going to pick a cup, I think I'm going with Has, and I'm going to say Europa Cup. The thing is, any cup's a cup, innit? So, look, I think if we're going to win, if we can only have one cup and forget the top 4, if we're only going to have one cup, I'm going to say Europa Cup for 2 reasons. 1, winning a European Cup is a big thing, and 2, it puts us in the Champions League next season.
No, I didn't think of this actually. Yeah, it does. It will qualify for us.
Look, I get the pull of the FA Cup. If you're going to pick a domestic cup, it's got to be the FA over the League Cup, purely because of our history within that. But I think as a Tottenham fan, any of the cups would do me next season. But I also want top 4 because I don't see why.
Problem is, Soren, is as you alluded to about sending our squad players, which haven't been replaced so far. Let's say lay them as squad players because you said that word.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've been a Spurs fan since the late 90s, I guess. I'm born in 92. But even I know from like the Redknapp days, we'd have a really good 11, and then you look on the bench and it's like, eh. Same under Poch, same under Joel, same under all these managers. And this is why this whole I can't survive out top four without a trophy. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to do both, but I just don't think we have it in us to do both because we just don't have the depth, quality depth to do it.
I'm a big believer in the sense of whereas last season everyone's going, oh well, we can't even compete when we're only in, we're only playing Premiership and we're kind of knocked out of every other and we're only playing one game a week. I sometimes think that's more detrimental, because if you're playing two games a week, you kind of there's no better way to play a system than playing rather than training.
You get the system we play though.
You get a rhythm, don't you? You get a rhythm, and the players get a rhythm.
The downside to us, which I think Haz was about to go to, is we haven't got the squad to do that. But for me, it's if you look at when we played last season, we played worse after a 2-week gap or a week gap than we did when we had an extra game. Now, I'm not saying we won because we played, but our poorest performances always came when we had a gap and we all expected to come out and play well because Ange had the players for training and it didn't work. But look, I mean, we all want glory days back at the. I nearly said the Lane then.
I wish it was at the Lane actually still.
Yeah, we all want glory days back, but to me, I don't think there is a better feeling than winning European Cups because as much as the passion is there for the FA Cup and the League Cup, there's just something else about playing Europe on a Wednesday night or a Thursday night. There's just something different. It's just a different tingle when you're at the ground. There's just a different atmosphere. It's just, don't know. There's just something more special about playing. And that's why when I go back to saying top four and playing Champions League, the games when I've been to the White Hart Lane or to the stadium and you're playing Barcelona's, Milan's, there's just a different atmosphere. There's just a different vibe. It just feels more special to me. And that's why it's got to be a European Cup for me.
Yeah, I want the Europa League. I've seen us win 2. Apologise for seeing us win in 72 as well. And Chivers scored 2 away goals. And we drew at home. We won 2-1 at Wolves. And that's the second cup final we beat them because we beat them in the FA Cup in 1921. And and the atmosphere, I mean, even in the 84 against Anderlecht, the atmosphere at the stadium.
I was there, Adrian.
I was there as well. Right. Yeah. And the atmosphere and when it went to penalties and hearts in mouths, but we'd won 2 FA Cups, so we're all cushioning ourselves that we won a couple of other cups. If this goes tits up, it won't hurt so much, you know what I mean? And then Danny Thomas steps up and misses his penalty. And I'll never forget the crowd's response. The whole ground sang as Danny Thomas. It was like, it was unreal. And it was instant, instant before eventually Tony Park saved the penalty and all the players run over to him. I mean, the atmosphere is fantastic. So it's that for me. And a little thing about Spurs playing in white, for those that don't know, everyone thought that it was down to us copying Real Madrid, LeBlancos, It wasn't that at all. When you look at the old black and white photos and you see the floodlights, you see all the shadows on the pitch. You've seen them all, haven't you, in them old photos, the black and whites. There's all shadows cast and all that. And Bill Nicholson turned around and said, I want my players to be able to see themselves on those night games on the pitch. We're going to play in white. And that was the reason why, so the players could find each other better with the ball. Which was, to me, if it was him or if it was attributed to Danny Blanchflower or whatever, fair play to them as far as I'm concerned, right? I just want to go back to, because you talked about Tony and you talked about Solanke, that we hinted on one guy or another. I just want to talk to you about 3 strikers. One's been mentioned as well. I just want to give you a bit of stats on them, right? Jonathan David has netted 26 goals in 47 matches for Lille last season, right? And then you can comment on the strikers afterwards. Luis Openda scored 28 goals in 45 matches in the Bundesliga for Leipzig last season. Nippy player, quick nippy player. Bit raw, but he still knows how to bang them in. And he has a rumoured 68 million release clause, right? Solanke, Openda. I'll leave it there for a minute. The same can be said for Victor Gyökeres, right? Oh, God, he scored an astonishing 43 goals in 50 games. Yeah, for Sporting. He has a release clause of 86 million, right? But, you know, the reports are that Sporting are willing to accept a lower fee. Yeah, because they know no one's got the money to pay that sort of... No, not even Real Madrid. And they haven't got that sort of money. So, yeah. So, guys, if you could pick one of these guys, Jonathan David, Luis Openda, or Victor Gyökeres, who only had this is his breakout season with an astonishing amount of goals, 43 and 50. I don't know if you've seen any of these play. Who would you go for? And we know that David would be the cheapest. He'd be about 25 mil, and the others are 68 and 86.
Who does Openda play for, Adrian?
He plays for Leipzig. Alongside, who's the other good striker they got there? The parent.
Sesko.
Yeah, Sesko. Yeah, Sesko. Yeah. So he plays there. Even they say it's a bit, for a raw talent, he's not doing bad, though. You know what I mean? He is quick. Mind you, Jonathan David's fast. It's just, when I watched him play 2 seasons ago on videos, I remember, I went back and had a look at it again. So he should have matured a bit. He seemed a bit more of a tapping merchant. The thing is, under handball, in theory, you should be able to take a donkey up front and score 20 goals for you, because you're going to get so many more chances than other strikers and other teams. It beggars belief, doesn't it, in Premier League with robotic football, that when you hear about, if it's Spurs or another team, we had 1 chance in the first half and 1 chance in the second half, and that's it. And then you get them freaky games that Villa at home that we lose, and we created 17 chances in the first half, right? And should have buried them out of sight, right? But it didn't happen. But then we spanked Newcastle, you know what I mean? So, guys, on the subject of strikers has really got me going, because I'm at a loss. I'll be totally honest with you. I mean, like, if fitness can be proved on the wingers that I mentioned, Pedro, Neto, and Chiesa, Federico Chiesa, I would take either of them in a pinch, as long as I get a warranty with them, right? I want a warranty with them, right? But, I mean, I can see, like, there being a meltdown at the end of this transfer window, no matter what happens, right? Because that's normal for our fans, right? But I just don't. I just don't think it's going to be, because Solanke's too late on the parade. If you've got your targets, like they've said, we've always had a list of targets and we're going for them, there would have been loads of talks going on. We're not privy to that, are we? Which is understandable. We're not privy to how much money's in the transfer window. I think with the players we've sold, the money we sold on wages, we've got the same amount of money we started with, because we've paid for Gray, and we paid for, Yang Min-hyuk. We've paid for him, and just the players that have gone out, and we've saved on wages. So I still think there's 120 mil to go, right? And I'm being conservative there, and I don't think there's no excuse for us to not kick in. I mean, nothing's going to happen on Saturday and Sunday, so now it's going to be next week. There might be talks going on, but nothing's going to happen, no movement. So I think next week, and then after next week, there's only 2 weeks before the season starts. Then you're looking at bringing players in for the 2 weeks that the transfer window goes into the new season, and that wouldn't be a good take, would it, at all, right? I don't know if you've seen these guys. Soren, have you seen Jonathan David or Luis Openda or Victor Gyökeres play, or have you just heard about their goal scoring exploits?
I've seen a little bit of them. The only thing, doesn't Openda play as a part of a 2 forwards? Isn't it more of a 4-4-2 type, or 3-5-2 or something in Leipzig? So you kind of look at that, because I don't think he plays up front on his own, does he?
No.
So you kind of look at Openda and think, look, the German league's very similar to the Premier League, so he should fit in. You look at Kiriez or whatever from Sporting, and you look at the players that have come from the Portuguese league, and they've not done that bad, have they? You know, Porro, Fernandes, Diaz at Liverpool.
Jose Dominguez, the Postiga.
I didn't want to say Postiga, but Adrian said it. So.
You know, you kind of look at it and think, I don't think it's as big a risk. If he's knocking that many goals in, I mean, Ronaldo came from there, didn't he? You know, he didn't do too badly, did he? So, look,
he's still going now.
He's still going now, yeah.
So are we, Mark.
I think if you are a talented player in Portuguese league and you are showing that you are miles ahead of everybody else, then you should be able to make it in the Premiership. Jonathan David, look, I think he's the one that I've seen the least of. So I don't really want to comment too much on him, other than when you look at his stats, if you're a stat type person, then he's done pretty well. And from all accounts, he would suit Angie's system. But I'm just going to sit here and say, look, until we actually sign somebody, I haven't got a clue who's coming in. I really haven't.
I think Openda and David would have the better sell-on value, right?
I think, yeah, because in Kiriez, he's not young, is he?
28.
I'm going to say, he's 28-ish, isn't he? 29. So he's a lot of money for his age. Now, I suppose it depends on the price, but like I say, I mean, I would be more than happy going away from that and saying we keep Richie and we get Chiesa in. That would be the choices, or a Vlahovic, obviously, but I think that's pipe dream. To me, Chiesa's the one that is obviously up for sale. You go get him. And him and Richie up front, I think that's not a bad shout.
Has David Openda?
So I have seen a bit of David and a bit of Openda. I haven't seen anything of Gyökeres, so I can't really comment. But I actually think we'll probably get Jonathan David because it's his Tottenham, and he's the cheapest one you named. And also Brian Daigle's been saying for a month that David is one on our radar. And like I said, due to his price, I think he's probably the most likely one we're going to sign. The Gyökeres one, the talk I saw about Spurs was they'll only be interested if the fee gets knocked down or something, as you mentioned, Adrian. So I don't see that happening. And also, I think he's a bit of a risk because he's only just had this season at 28 years old. It's in the Portuguese league. And like you mentioned, Adrian, the Postiga thing, that still kind of plays on my mind when it comes to talking about Gyökeres, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, we saw how good Postiga was back then.
You don't remember Jose Dominguez. The only good Portuguese player I really got was actually Pedro Mendes. Wasn't that bad?
Mendes was, I actually really like Mendes. He was really good.
Yeah.
But I think
that goal he scored at Man United wasn't a bad one.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Plattenberg disallowed goal. Yeah.
But so with Gyökeres also, he was at Coventry. He didn't do anything, and then he went abroad. So that's another thing that kind of makes me question him. So for me, if I was to go to one of the three, it'd probably be Openda, just because I think he's coming from Leipzig, which is a pretty close league, obviously in the German league to England. So I think he'll really have the least transition. And
he's more of an inside forward, though, isn't he? He's not a number 9, though. You know what I mean? So,
but he has used Johnson there and Werner there and Son there. So you could argue you could put him there.
Yeah, I mean, he did it at Celtic. I mean, he seemed to not go for an out-and-out number 9. It was always a very fast, dippy forward, you know, in the centre of his front three. Yeah.
So if you had to push one of the three, it'll probably be Openda.
Mark Cook, Jonathan David, Luis Openda, or Victor Gyökeres? Or none. Doesn't matter. He's not to pick one.
That was going to be my answer, really. Openda's not going to suit how we play because, like Soren said, he plays in a 2. So he's not going to be your hit man. I don't know how he's going to play as a 9 on his own. I don't know. I haven't seen that much of him. I've seen bits and pieces. Gyökeres, like you said, he's 28, 27, 28, something like that. One decent season. I actually thought he'd done all right at Coventry in the last season as a bit of a hitman for him. I know you said earlier, Adrian, as says you weren't all that on him, but I didn't think he did too bad because he got his move to Sporting. I don't know how much they paid for him, but it was quite a few quid. For me now, I think we've just got to that stage where I just want Ivan Toney in there. Obviously I want better than Ivan Toney. I want better than that. I want our team to be buying quality players, not necessarily the world class, but we need to step it up. And I think if you brought Toney in, you're not going down anyway. He's a very good player. He's a very good player. And I just think he would be good for us.
And the player I did leave out actually was Santiago Jimenez of Feyenoord.
Yeah,
who, I think he only ended up as many goals as Troy Parrott did in the Eredivisie. And Charlie Baker, who comes on, who knows the league well, he doesn't rate him, but it's all subjective with players, isn't it? So
the thing is with that though, Adrian, we look at Openda, and Openda to me reminds me of when we went and signed Soldado and Rebro.
Yeah.
That they were very good in a 2, but then when we tried to play them as a 1, they didn't work. And I would worry that. I think Openda would be different, but you kind of worry the fact of when you've been used to playing as a 2, and it's a bit like Sonny and Kane. You've got that click with another player, and all of a sudden you're up front on your own, and you've lost your mate. It's Batman and Robin type thing, It just doesn't work. That's why, to me, you go up. We need to be looking at strikers that play as a 1. Now, the only worry I've got, where everybody keeps going on about Toney, is I'm kind of settling for Toney because he's a Premiership player, and we're at the point now thinking, well, he's the best of the options that we seem to be linked with. Because to me, Toney does not necessarily. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but to me, he does not fit the Ange system.
I actually agree.
He doesn't press. He doesn't press.
No,
sorry, Hez?
Yeah, I agree with you. Honestly, I don't think he fits the system.
No,
and I think that'll be a telling point for Ange. He wants energy up there. In fact, he wants energy everywhere, even in midfield, and we lacked energy in midfield last year. And the surprising for me in these 3 friendlies, if you all noticed, is when all the kids have come on in the second half, we've looked a better team and showed more energy.
That's why it wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't be surprised if the kids play a bigger part, and that's the way Ange gets them first 10 games of last season back into this season, that all of a sudden we play the kids and it's like a new team and a new system again. You've suddenly got energy in there. You've suddenly got the unknown, because nobody knows how these kids are going to play. And that could be the answer. I don't think the club has the balls to play the kids, because everybody goes on about, if it doesn't work, then you'll be sacked by Christmas. I don't think the board will sack him. I think it'll be the fans that get him sacked, because they won't put up with it. We all sit here saying we need to be calm and we're going to back Ange. If it doesn't go well, it's the fans that will be calling for him to be sacked, and then the board's got to react. I don't think it'll be the board that goes first.
Yeah, I think a lot with us on social media, we get to have our say. That's good, but we don't really speak for the majority of fans that actually go to games. I don't believe we do. So when it's all gets heated in here on social media, when I'm out talking to people or people ring me, it's all quiet on the Western Front. You know what I mean? They're not, because we're intensely on it every day, transfer windows, this, that, and the other, and everything. The other fans are. They're just.
You say that they got everyone. Well, I wasn't part of this, but because I wanted to stay, but basically, fans got Jose out, and we were stuck in lockdown.
Yeah, and Conte. It was quite toxic at the end, wasn't it? And in the ground, there was a lot of toxicity about in them latter stages of Conte, and it wasn't just at Levy, it was at Conte and things like that. So, if the fans turn on Ange, it will be them that force force Ange out. It won't be the board. I think the board are going to stick with him if they get, if it doesn't turn nasty.
Sheriff, so I haven't asked you yet. Jonathan David, Luis Openda, Victor Gyökeres, or none of them? Or you want Tony, or you want Solanke, or
Just bring one of them in, for God's sakes. We're crying out for it.
We mustn't fall into, though. This is a sort of
yeah, no, but like, I mean, I agree with Haz. If I had my way, it'd be Gyökeres, whatever his name is, but we'll get the cheapest, which is Davids. Yeah. And that'll be make do and mend as usual. Whether he suits the system or not, there we go. There we go. Andrew's been backed, even though he really hasn't.
By the way, I actually said Openda, not Gyökeres.
Yeah,
no. I was on about that. You said that Davids would be.
Yeah, I think we'll get Davids 100%.
But Mark, let me ask. I mean, the thing I would take from what you just said is, so you'd rather have a name than a player that would suit the system better.
No.
You have just said that you would rather have Gyökeres, but we won't go for him. We'll probably go for David, but he might suit the system better. So if David,
I didn't say that Davids would suit the system better. We will get Davids because he's the cheapest.
But if he suits the system better than say Gyökeres does,
I don't know. I've not seen any of them.
Unfortunately, I've seen quite a lot of him because of Brian Daigle talking about him a lot. I decided to go watch a few games. So this is my opinion. I'm not that impressed at all. I know he scored his goals and stuff, and it's also in France as well. So I don't know. I think
he's had 2 good seasons, but when I first watched him, I thought it was just a tap in. He's got pace, so he could do the close down job. To be honest, I don't know if Ange wants one of these small diminutive strikers like he's played with through the middle before, like a Sonny and all that, or whether he wants another number 9.
Adrian, you say a tapping merchant. Isn't that sort of what would suit us the best anyway? Because if we're going to play with those wingers pinging crosses in, then surely that's what you want, is someone just to tap it in.
Well, when people say to me, "Oh, you go and watch loads of videos and you post them up for everyone, you do this, that, and the other," and I go, yeah, but why'd you bother doing that for? Because in the videos, the players always look good, right? This is my take on it, right? When I'm watching players in videos, if they're midfielders or forwards especially, I'm looking for players with vision that move the ball quickly, that can make things happen. So when it comes to forwards, I want more than a tapping merchant, right? More than a goal hanger. I want one like Sonny who can score a curler from outside the edge of the box and score goals from outside the box, not just inside the box. Probably because I've been spoilt and used to lots of good Spurs strikers over the generations I've watched the game. Like with midfielders, it's vision, it's IQ, it's finding space, it's good movement and touch and things like that. With defendants, it's intelligent positional play, having the IQ to sniff out danger, and being like intelligent, aware of everyone around you, which you could Porro on question on the far post at sometimes, or chasing back after a player because his marker's lost him, things like that. Yeah, so I want more. I want more than a. Don't we all want more than a tapping merchant? I mean, like he looks decent. He just, to me, David hasn't got X factor, as he has. He just doesn't seem to have that.
No, he's quite average, I'd say.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest worry is we haven't done very well with players out of France, have we?
No.
Yeah.
And also, let's be
fair.
Who
goes all right?
We should stop signing players, right, whose surnames begin with N, right? Like Nkudu, NG, Ndombele, right? We are cursed with players with surnames that begin with N from France, right? There should be a rule or something at the club introduced, to stop this from happening. Right, let's move on to a bit of fun. Okay, so this is where I ask you all questions. Right, we'll start with Soren. Give me one that you haven't given me before. A favourite Spurs player.
Favourite Spurs player? Oh.
It'll be a different one each time you're on. So give me a favourite Spurs player and why.
That's a tough. I'm going to go with Clive Allen.
Okay.
And I'm going to say Seeing as we can choose a different one, because it will be a different one next time, because the one I was going to say. But I'm going to go with Clive Allen for the simple reason, was it 47 goals in
49.
49 in the season?
In a 4-5-1 system.
And that's, if we could sign him now, that's the perfect player for the system now.
No, he could have been outside the box, but it was also a good tapping merchant. Right, now you've got to give me a particular Spurs victory that you enjoyed.
Ooh. Right. If we're going to talk about
away, it doesn't matter. Cup doesn't matter.
If we're going to talk about a victory, and I'm going to go modern era, then I'm going to go with the one semi-final against Ajax, because I was sat in the exact spot I'm sat now, watching Lucas Moura take us to the final of the Champions League. And I tell you what, that is the most excited I've been in a football match for a long, long time. And I can still see that goal going in now. And this computer screen flying off, bottles flying off the shelves, absolutely going crazy. The dog was barking, and it was of the modern era, it was just a pure elation, absolutely pure elation, because you kind of just didn't see it coming.
Right, a special Spurs goal.
Ooh, special Spurs goal. I would have to go with Gareth Bale against Inter Milan.
Yeah, okay, yeah, good choice. Right. Did we ask you how you became a Spurs fan before? Have you been asked on the show?
You haven't, no.
How did you become a Spurs fan?
So, back in the late 70s, 80s, Tottenham were, unfortunately, Haz won't understand this story. Tottenham were going to an FA Cup final, and everybody at that time were Liverpool fans. Liverpool was the team to support. And I come from a little village in Yorkshire. Tottenham, it's not on my radar, really. I was just getting into football. And that was one of the first ever televised football matches. Didn't even know it was a cup final or anything like that. And all my mates supported Liverpool. And I said, right, whoever wins this game, I'm going to support.
Oh, wow.
And Tottenham won. Unfortunately, it's not one of those beautiful stories where I can say my dad was a Spurs supporter, my granddad was, and his granddad, and all that lot. It's just as simple as that. I picked a team that won a match, was the first football match that I'd seen on television. Actually, I had to wait because it went to replay. So I think it was the Saturday and then the Wednesday night or something like that back then.
Thursday.
Was it Thursday night? Yeah. So as a 10-year-old kid watching a football match, Tottenham won it, and I've been lucky enough to see a couple of FA Cups, a couple of League Cups, a European Cup in that time, the World Challenge Cup last weekend or whatever it was. Let's not forget that one. The Audi Cup,
Tiger Cup,
whatever. Yeah.
The Water Toll Cup against Rangers.
Yeah. There's been a lot of ups and downs with Spurs, but they are my team. People say that if it's not in your blood and you've kind of gone in the way I've gone in, you're not a true supporter and all that lot. Look, I've cried over Tottenham. I've been mad. I've not spoken to my family for days, which is probably the best thing for them. But I live a team just like anybody else does, and I get to the matches when I can. I've been down to Grimsby in that FA Cup when we lost to them 1-0 in the 89th minute. When you couldn't even, you go to that stadium and you can't even see the goal at the other end because the pitch is like that. I've been to these matches, and that's how I got into supporting Tottenham. And so far, there's been another 2 generations in my family that now support Tottenham. So
you're doing a good job then, right? You
might not know they do, but I keep telling them they do. One of the proudest moments that I had was my 2 girls walking in front of me with Spurs tops on and the flags round them going to a football match.
I
So,
thought as though we're getting married.
well, I mean, my eldest daughter is married, and both her kids have got Spurs kids.
Oh.
So you know, it's in the family now.
Good. Traditions continuing. Has a favourite Spurs player?
Oh, this one's going to be easy. Rafael van der Vaart.
Okay. Why?
And my reasoning for this is when I was like really, really young, I used to watch like almost every game on like Sky. Even like, do you know the Masters football and that sort of thing as well? So I used to watch like so much football. So I used to watch a lot of Ajax, and I really like that. You know, he has Schneider, whatever. But I used to really love Van der Vaart. And then obviously we signed him eventually. So it's from like a pre thing, and then obviously we got him, and obviously he loved playing against Arsenal. He did that lovely celebration at the Emirates. So for me, Van der Vaart is definitely one of my favourite Spurs players.
A good bit of Levy business at the last minute of transfer window against Barcelona or Real Madrid. He come from 6 mil, I think he cost, didn't he?
It was 8 million, I think. Yeah.
Or 8 or something. Right, a particular Spurs victory.
For me, it's probably 2-1 against Arsenal back in 2010. Danny Rose goal.
Always a good choice.
Yeah.
That was his debut.
Yeah, it was on his debut.
Yeah. Oh, and now the next question was a special Spurs goal.
That was Danny Rose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have we asked you how you became a Spurs fan?
No.
Well, we're asking you now, right? So
all right, okay. So for me, it's through family, but the better story to tell was probably my dad, really, how he became a Spurs fan, and obviously by consequence it was me. But so basically, my dad watched Spurs play Olympiacos or Panathinaikos, one of the Greek teams in Greece, when he was working there. This was years and years and years ago. So probably like the 60s, 70s, around that time period. And he was like, he saw them, Spurs beat them like 3-4-0. And he was like, I like this team. And his company moved him to the UK. And a lot of the Greeks, as you know, moved to the UK around that time as well. And he's like, I'll go watch them. And they started buying tickets. And they got company tickets. And then, so he eventually became a season ticket holder actually when we went down. So he bought them then when they were cheaper. By consequence, I was just born a Spurs fan, didn't have a choice. Where you guys see it as good or bad, I don't know. But that's how I'm a Spurs fan, through family.
Mark Cook, a favourite Spurs player?
Oh, we've done some of this, Adrian. Glenn Hoddle, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Absolute twinkle toes, mate. It's fantastic, as everyone knows, for Spurs. And I grew up on him. So I was forever watching him, you know, like the kids watch Maradona or they watch Messi. I used to watch Hoddle. Absolutely unbelievable player.
Genius.
A particular Spurs victory?
We spoke about earlier. My biggest memory is the final against Anderlecht. I was up in the shelf. Unbelievable scenes. It was majestic night.
A special Spurs goal?
Gaza against Arsenal in the semi-final at Wembley.
Good call. How did you become a Spurs fan?
Same as us, really. Born in the family. I was Spurs from as little as I can remember. My dad's brother has been a season ticket holder since he was 17. He's 64 now. So
that's a lot of suffering.
Oh, mate. He paid stupid money for his season ticket. But just through the family, always been Spurs, always will be Spurs.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Sheriff, obviously you're going to give us a different three this time. You've told us how you become Spurs player.
Yeah.
So, like, a favourite Spurs player, apart from Gary Mabbott, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've said Mabbott. I said, who else did I say?
I don't know. So give us one.
I can't
this
say
is a good history lesson for those in the chat.
Yeah.
Part of the reason of doing it, you see. You'll go and look them up. Who's that?
Yeah. Well, growing up, it was Hoddle. It was definitely Hoddle, but Mark's already said that. So I will go for, let me have a think. Steve Perryman. Captain Fantastic. Captain Fantastic.
Or more, it'll never be beaten.
Captain
14 years.
fantastic, yeah. 800 and something games. That'll never be beaten.
I think it was 14 years at the club in the 70s. Like, I mean, he won 2
Yeah.
League Cups, 2 FA Cups, and believe it or not, 2 UEFA Cups.
Yeah.
Over the span. And
Yeah.
that's without his young honours that he received. Yeah, excellent. So, what was that? That was a favourite player. A particular Spurs victory, Mark? Not one you've mentioned before.
I'll tell you one that I was at.
Go on.
2-1 at Anfield when Sheringham and Klinsmann, we were 1-0 down. Sheringham and Klinsmann scored. And that was,
The FA Cup game.
yeah, 6th round of the Cup.
Oh,
I wasn't in the Spurs end. But if you stood on the pitch and looked at the Kop, I was sat to the right of the Kop, just by that sort of corner flag, just up from the corner flag. Klinsmann scored the winner at the Kop end, and he ran round and slid right in front of me. I was up. I jumped up. But all the Liverpool fans were fine. I mean, at the end of the game, they even applauded Tottenham off the pitch, which I hear is what they always do.
Mm.
But I was there. So, but the game after that, we lost to Everton in the semi.
Yeah, we got spanked, didn't we? About 5-2.
Yeah, that was it. Hillsborough.
At Leeds or Hillsborough, was it? I'm not
It
sure.
was Hillsborough, I think.
A special Spurs goal. Anyone? Doesn't matter.
I've already sort of mentioned that. Klinsmann's at Anfield, and he come round and slid right in front of me.
Right, okay. Now me, a favourite Spurs player. Well, first time we did this, I think I went for Hoddle. Then I went for Jones, Cliff Jones. So now I'm going to go for Dave Mackay.
Ooh, get him.
Right.
Go
I'm
on,
going to go
Adrian.
for Dave Mackay. I watched him play when he left Spurs. He even won the championship with Derby, didn't he? When he managed Derby and that, and he also went to the Middle East and had some success out there. What a player. 2 broken legs didn't stop him. And what a player. We got him from Hearts, as you all know, because we just played them recently.
Sat here thinking, these players.
A particular Spurs victory. I'm going to pick the 3-2 away win at Arsenal when Yunus Kabul scored the winner.
Oh, I love that game.
Yeah.
Was you there? Was you there?
No. It's more memories more than anything else.
I was in a pub with a load of Arsenal fans.
No, not really.
And I'm going to go there again for a special Spurs goal. I'm going to go for Aaron Leonard's equaliser in the 4-4 away when we was facing relegation under Redknapp, and we came back. We got 4-4, and who was it? Danny on the talk show at radio going, "I love football, Stan," or something. Have you heard him shout his head off on that? Because they were like recording it live.
Is that when the fan ran on the pitch and all the team dived on the fan to stop him being arrested? And
Yeah. I've said this before. How did I become a Spurs fan? Well, I live local. It was either Spurs or the orphanage. So, it's quite easy, that one.
Yeah.
So we've done that. I'm not going to do the Spurs empty trophy cabinet because we've been going for 2.5 hours. And, it's been fantastic because I did wonder if we'd get past the hour and a half mark today, because it isn't actually too exciting out there. I want to thank all you guests for coming.
What we should do, Adrian, is an all-time 11 Spurs team.
Yeah, we can do that. All suggestions are working.
Yeah.
Before the last one I did, they restricted it to certain eras, and I think Jose did one, and
yeah, I was on that show. I think
we weren't allowed to pick them. You know what I mean? I mean, you could mess about with this. You could say an all-time Spurs, Scottish 11, Welsh 11, Irish 11. I don't know if we've got enough. We'd probably have enough players for the history. We could have some fun with that. We could do that.
Yeah, I think
that's a great idea. That
future thing, a first 11 from say 80s onwards or something like that. Just
90s 11 and 80s 11 and 70s 11. Mind you, then none of them.
Why don't we set these shows up? Seeing as there's no news, there's no transfers. The season starts in a few. Like on a Tuesday or a Friday.
We can keep talking about transfers, and now it's happening. So we're just
there we go.
things, don't we?
We sort of covered it and chewed it to death. But I mean, once the season starts, that won't be an issue with things to talk about. We'll have a game, three games. It'll be hard to keep up with all the information, but it will be. And I've got run sheets set out for that, lineups all the way through. So like, if we go through in a structured way, then we'll be absolutely fine.
The thing is, I mean, when you're picking your favourite players, I bet we could all do it a dozen times and come up with a different player every time.
Yeah, that's the whole point of it, for a bit of fun.
Yeah,
Pick something different each time.
You look at it, I mean, I'm glad somebody said Mabbott and things like that, because you look at those and you just think, I mean, Clemens and stuff like that.
Yeah, you'd get Graham Roberts eventually. You'd get Klinsmann, wouldn't you? You'd get Ginola and Waddle, and like you'd get loads. And that's the whole part of the fun of it. Like, and then like, so it's just a bit of light-hearted fun to end with. Right, I want to thank you all for coming on. Thank the guest, Has.
Thanks for coming on again, Adrian.
No, you're more than welcome to come on. We'll get you back. Thank Mark Cook as well. He's come on. He's not been feeling well recently. Thank you for coming on, Mark. We'll get you
Thanks
back.
for having me, Adrian. Thank you.
Mod Soren, thank you for coming on. Mod Mark, we ain't having them two back. You know what I mean? So, no, we'll have you. Obviously, we'll have you back. You're always go-tos for shows anyway. Yeah, it's been great. I want to thank all you in the chat, those for the comments. I know it's Friday and people out on the lash, so some Fridays we will have, a large amount of viewers, and other Fridays we won't. It's the way it goes. I've noticed that since the Euros are finished, our views have gone up, have shot up, right? So like, which is good. It's not always going to do that. It will dip at times. People do different things. It's summer, it's hot, right? So I want to thank all of you that may watch the video on playback. Please give it a thumbs up. And please comment, because that helps the algorithm for us, helps the show to grow. We intend to be around for years to come, so you might as well get used to us. And we are pretty chill. We're a discerning Spurs channel, and we pride ourselves on being mature and sensible, even though we disagree on points of view, and discussion on players is always subjective, whether you like them or not. We have sensible and mature debates, which is what we want. So on that note, I've got to go in the brand section. I'm going to play us out with that lovely song when we beat Liverpool 2-1 at the stadium this year.